This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network, the Paranormal Misfits Podcast, the Horror Friendly Podcast, the Girl and the Gay Podcast, Video Tasties, Pop Culture Reflections Podcast, the Ghoulish Gallery, You Gonna Eat That Crust Podcast, Voices from the Mausoleum, the Dewey Podmonster Podcast, the Aardvark and the Magic Moshies Do Red Dwarf, and Movies for Days. All available at yourunpodcast.com. Hello, Mark.
Hello, sir.
You always seem nervous at the start of every episode.
I usually am, because you usually have something stupid lined up to open the show with, and I have a feeling this week's going to be no different. So
this week is definitely no different. Today's movie was criticised for the use of AI, so I saw this as a perfect opportunity to bring back Mark's favourite AI companion, Gladys.
Brilliant.
And Gladys is going to give you this week's opening joke. So are you ready to hear from Gladys? It's been a while since you two have spoken.
Yes, let's do this.
Okay, Gladys, over to you.
Hi, Mark. Did you know that your job is safe from the AI takeover?
Did you?
Right. Well, I don't know why.
Even an AI is stupid enough to do your job.
What the fuck?
that wasn't even
What
a joke.
Bitch.
Just
No,
an attack.
that was just pure insult.
Just a personal attack on you. Well, now Gladys has upset you. Let's start the show.
Hey everyone,
The You Run Podcast.
the You Run Podcast.
You want to die tonight?
Scott, I think you know who the fuck this is that's talking.
Cancel Mark. I was terribly offended.
Because after all, this is not our show, this is your show.
Hello.
That bitch needs unplugging.
I'm going to get her against you on Seesaw soon. I think I'll do that. Welcome to everyone listening across can't even speak, podcast platforms around the world and watching here on Rumble. This is the You Run Podcast horror movie review, the only show that can be funny, informative, and offensive all at the same time. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark.
And each and every week, we will guide you through a movie selected by you for review. We'll share your thoughts, facts, play a game, and most importantly, give you a voice where you can say what you want to say about the movie. This is an interactive show. You can contact us, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us an audio DM anywhere you can do that, which is Instagram and X. Go to the message function to send us a message, hold down the microphone and speak, and your message will be played on the air. Now, we had some technical difficulties with my mic last week, and I want to apologise again for those because I had lots of people reach out in messages going, what was that? So I'm very, very sorry. We also received an audio message from a very, very upset listener. So we're going to play that now.
Jesus fucking Christ. Now, I get your technical issues and I forgave them until the music blasted on with my headphones on and it scared the living shit out of me. Not cool, guys. Not cool.
I'm really sorry, Dave. Honestly,
What is that?
Dave was listening, and because where I messed with sorting out the hum that was running through the episode and trying to sort my mic out, all the volumes for all the music drops are about 30 decibels louder than anything else. So we're talking quite calmly, and he's turned it up because he can't quite hear us, or I've had to mess with it. And then the music kicked in and scared the life out of him.
Can I just check your microphone is plugged in this evening? We're not going to have the same issue again.
It is plugged in. I am going to double check now because you're making me panic. Audio. Yes, it is the correct mic is working tonight, and I'm not recording through my headphones.
Brilliant.
Apologies, Dave.
Very unprofessional, sir.
Yeah, no one is more upset about the audio the audio issues than me, as I spent 9 hours trying to repair them. So
yeah,
apologies.
man, you wasted like a full day of your life. I was like, dude, fuck it, just leave it. It's fine. It'll be all right.
Yeah, it wasn't. If you like the show and you can forgive the occasional audio blunder, leave us a review on Spotify or Apple, 5 stars if you can. If you are watching on Rumble, hit follow. That's really, really important on Rumble. That will help us reach a point where we can make money from our videos. If you're feeling really generous, you can go to our shop, yourunpodcast.com, and you can buy a stunning t-shirt. We have a selection of t-shirts, hoodies, and various other bits, and Mark's favourite T-shirt, which is that one. Which I will send you a copy of that soon. I will send you a
You're full of
T-shirt.
shit, man. You're not going to, are you?
Maybe I'll run a competition and you can enter to win it.
I'm just going to end up having to buy my own T-shirt from my own store. This is where this is going, isn't it?
Potentially, yeah. We are not alone this week, and I think it's good given this week's movie. I think we need more than just our perspective on this. This movie is viewed very differently by lots of different people, and I think having a mix of opinions will really, really help. Today, we are joined by a host of the podcast that came into existence about a year ago, and me and Mark really like this show. Mark found it first. Mark put me onto it, and since then I've been like every week. This is a regular listen for me. The show is called Horrors Yet Unseen. It's available across all good podcast platforms, and it's our great pleasure to welcome the hosts of that show, Steve and Zach. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hey. How's it going?
Thank you for coming on. Yeah, good. How are you?
Oh, good. I like the door. That's cool.
Yeah.
Was awesome. Perfectly with our theme music.
It took a while to get that to sync up. I spent a long time going, nearly there.
Well done.
I believe we're popping your guest spot cherry. Is that correct?
If you want to put it that way.
Yeah, you can put it that way. That's it.
He likes to go that way a lot, trust me.
Yeah, that's the way I'm going with it.
Yeah, we've not been around too long, and it's the first time we've been on anybody's podcast. So yeah.
I'm really pleased that we're the
fun.
first ones to have you, because
Yes.
you are going to be appearing.
You never
everywhere.
forget your first one, right?
No, exactly. You never forget your first.
Oh, so you're just as bad as him then, are you, Steve?
I meant first podcast. That's what I meant. Totally.
Yeah.
He 100% is. He 100% is.
Yeah, we will be the podcast that you're talking to therapists about in about 3 years' time. Everyone, make sure you go and check out their show. Zach and Steve are going to tell you all about it later in the episode. But for now, we're going to get into this episode. So ratings are everything, and no one knows this better than failing TV personality Jack Delroy. But he has a plan. With the Wish version of Uri Geller, an outspoken right-wing skeptical magician, and a girl possessed by the actual fucking devil. Jack plans to cram all this weird goodness along with some AI-generated art into the world of live TV and beam it across to the world. Now, what could possibly go wrong as we all sit down together and watch Late Night with the Devil?
We are back in 5, 4. Now, here's Mr. Midnight, Jack Delroy. Oh, good evening, Night Owls, and thank you for allowing me into your living rooms once again. Well, Night Owls, we've got a heck of a show in store for you tonight, and I'm very excited for you to see it all unfold before your very eyes. I really hope you love it. Gosh, I hope you love it. Please love it.
I'm trying to host a nationally syndicated talk show, and I'm trying to help you keep it on the air.
We all know how important it is to keep our sponsors and affiliates happy, but in my humble opinion, there is only one person who really matters in this whole darn crazy business. And that is you, our viewer.
You're meddling with things you don't understand.
Whoa! Now, as you know, here on Night Owls, we think it's very important to keep an open mind. Please welcome Dr. June Ross Mitchell and Lily, the young subject of the book, Conversations with the Devil.
I really don't think it's a good idea, Jack. She's becoming more unpredictable.
That's a good thing. That's why we still do live TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for a live television first as we attempt to commune with the devil.
Lily, can you hear me?
Good to see you again, Jack.
Lily, return to me.
This isn't about ratings anymore. No one's going anywhere.
How could you let it happen, Jack? How could you let it happen?
Please be warned, anyone with young children in the room. What you're about to see.
You okay, Jack?
Is profoundly disturbing and shocking.
You get out there, Mr. Midnight, and you knock him dead.
That's the first time I've actually watched the trailer. It's actually a really good trailer.
Yeah, I forgot how good that actually was. Like, really drew me in.
Yeah, and it doesn't give too much away. It's very much, it tells you what's going to happen without giving any major plot points, which is kind of what a trailer should do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially for the length.
Yeah. I get really sick of the ones who are like, here's the entire movie in the trailer. Thank you. I don't need to buy a ticket.
Yeah. They do that a lot these days as well.
Yeah, normally anything that's got Blumhouse stamped on it does that. Gives you all the major plot points in order and the finale. Just so you
when
know
they do
exactly.
it in order, that's the worst, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you see a film like this that has, instead of Blumhouse, it's got 10 companies ahead of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We're definitely going to talk about that in a minute. Listeners score the movies. They scored this a 4.5 out of 5. Letterboxd coming in at a 3.4 out of 5. And Gladys, our AI companion, come in with a 3 out of 5. She said, well delivered, but heavily influenced by Ghostwatch from 1992, which in her opinion done this better. But she's an
I
AI.
haven't seen Ghostwatch yet, so.
Oh,
it's great.
Ghostwatch is really good. It's a very weird BBC movie. It's a movie you watch, and then when you finish, you go, that was so odd, but I kind of liked it. And you end up watching it again. It's one of those movies.
Oh, I love those movies.
Did you ever watch Inside Number 9 as well? Did you guys watch that? It's a British TV show.
No.
They do an anthology episode each week. They did a Halloween special about 2 years ago. And they did it's very similar to how they do it in this movie. But what they do is someone dies on set and then they cut the broadcast off live. They're basically, the whole episode was like a live special. They were doing the show live and someone died and they cut it off and it goes to a cancelled programming kind of thing, and then it comes back again, and it was all like a bit, but it's really, really cool. If you guys get the chance to look it up, I would honestly recommend it.
It's Inside Number 9.
Inside Number 9, yeah. It's a Halloween special from 2001 or 2002. It was pitch perfect.
Yeah, really, really good. This show is spoiler heavy. Here's your spoiler warning.
Okay, I'm gonna explain this shit to you like you're 5. Get your eyes checked. Read the damn episode title. I don't want to hear any bitching, any complaining about how, there's spoilers. No, read it. If you've not seen it, do not listen.
Thanks, Heather. That's for anyone who's new to the show. That's Heather, who hosts True Crime with me. So if you want to hear more of Heather being Heather, go and check that show out as well. We kick off with over 2 minutes of studio logos. I was blown away how many there were.
Yeah.
It's have any of you seen the episode of The Simpsons where he sits down to watch a movie and it starts? No, it's not The Simpsons. It's Family Guy.
It's Family Guy. It's Family Guy. Yeah.
And it starts. He's like, "Oh, this is a spy movie," and then it's like spy production. He's like, "Oh no, it's not." And then it does another
one. India and stuff.
Yeah,
it's exactly like that. I will say though, the stop motion animation company who do their intro, where he puts the thing. What's the movie?
The glasses.
Yeah, what's that movie called? I can't remember the name of it. Where he has the glasses and I've come here to chew bubble gum. Yes, they do the whole They Live thing. That was cool. I was like, I would watch a 90-minute movie of that.
Yeah.
It was when I was in the theater. That was everybody just busted up laughing at them. It just kept going. About the 4th or 5th one, everybody's like, "What the heck?"
But I get it. It's a low budget movie. This is kind of everyone chipped in a couple of $1,000 and they managed to make a movie. So it becomes a big political thing where we need our studio name there. Well, if they're having their name there, we need to have our name there. And the studio at the end who chipped in a $5 for coffees one day. But if everyone else is, we need ours as well.
They spent more on the animation than they did on the actual movie.
They did.
Yeah.
We open on a TV with a nostalgic look at the 1970s, which was not a nice time to live, based on the news reports. No wonder Gen X are as hard as nails and miserable as they all come across on social media. I get it now. I fully understand.
As a Gen X, I have to, you know, I'm not that bad. I'm just barely Gen X, though.
Now, I missed the Gen X by about 2 years, so I'm on the cusp. I have lots of Gen X mentalities where people say things, and my response is, "Oh, fuck you," and I really shouldn't.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love the prologue to this. I love the way that they give us all the information that we need in a very condensed, very well constructed way. So they explain about Night Owls. They explain it's hosted by Jack Delroy. They tell us that, like, they show us some of the sketches he's done throughout his career on the show, which sets up what we're going to get, like what this show actually is. And then they go into the fact that he's done really well and he's up there fighting in numbers with Carson and he signs a big studio deal. And then we get introduced to his wife and then she's really ill. And then we get told that he's part of Bohemian Grove. Well, it's not. They call it the Grove, but it is Bohemian Grove. I love all of this because it's so condensed. This whole segment where they give us all the back plot happens quicker than the studio pictures at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
it's really well done.
I think so. And the thing is, as well, if you're going to have a movie that's as structured in the way that this is, as a documentary archival sort of recovery thing, basically a found footage, if you will, you have to have this opening sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake style opening exposition that gives you everything that you need in one instance so that you can fully immerse yourself in what they're trying to represent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing that I thought was strange, but I also bought into that a TV host would do this. His wife is dying of cancer, and with that, he brings her on the show. Like that to me, I was like, "Oh, really? Did you do that?" But
Yeah.
it's believable because I could see that kind of sort of Hollywood wannabe celebrity going, I know what will get us ratings. My dying wife, she'll get ratings. Come here and sit with me. Like, it made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Right.
he does a great job of sort of introducing the kind of character he is as well, that he's more focused on the attention and the ratings and the success of his show than demeaning his wife in the way that he does by prancing her around like a show pony in order to garner sympathy from the audience in order to boost his show. And I think that's a really, really clever way of subtly introducing that to us as an audience without going down the route of being like, don't like this guy, he's a dickhead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It shows the cracks in the exterior of like, here's this wonderful, nice guy, but he's
Yeah.
you know, shell his wife out, and I mean, it was the highest show that they ever had, though, right? So it's like positive reinforcement for that kind of behavior too. So it's like he ratcheted it up or something.
Yeah, it was the best performing they had, but they were still 2 points behind Carson, which I liked that they put that in. Like, even bringing your wife who's about to die on the show still wasn't good enough to get better ratings than Carson, which I thought was like, oh, it puts him in a situation of what do I have to do? Which again is the perfect setup. So his wife dies and he takes, I think they say it's a month or 2 months
he
off.
disappears for a month.
Yeah, and then there's an announcement that he's going to be returning, and it's after his return that his producers Leo and Gus sort of, so he comes back and the producers Leo and Gus start making things more and more controversial to try and garner attention. So he's doing things that he's going down the sort of almost Jerry Springer route from the clips that we get of people arguing and people fighting, and his contract's almost up and he's about to be ditched by the studio. So they have a last ditched attempt with their Halloween special, and this is that footage. Now,
yeah, I also want to mention that I noticed that it said he disappeared for a month, location unknown. It's like, ooh, ooh, I don't know if that's, I'm
Yeah.
overthinking it or like.
I want you to
maybe he
remember
did
that as well,
something.
Steve,
Yeah.
because that's important as well, because it doesn't make any sense what they're alluding to with that month's disappearance.
Yeah. I don't know
By
if
the
I
time
don't know
we
if they
reach
were.
the final act and
Yeah.
how they're trying to represent his purpose and what he's done in selling out, that all happened prior to his disappearance. So like that
Right.
whole he disappeared for a month thing, it's like, well, what the fuck? That has nothing to do with anything that this has just told us in the closing act.
Or does it?
The Late Night with the Devil too.
Hey, it could be a sequel, yeah.
It will be
The
greenlit
prequel?
without a shadow of a doubt. We'll get a sequel or a prequel.
I
Right.
hope not, man.
Yeah. What else are you going to explain? But that's the
Exactly.
majority of Steve and I's conversations in Horrors Yet Unseen is like, it's my biggest pet peeve with movies that we don't need a second one.
Yeah.
So many times, but the money that the first one generates will be like, oh, we've already written the second one, and I'm like, stop. There's nothing more to add. What
don't
are
need to
you
do
going to
this.
add to this thing? You're just going to put the same characters in the same thing, and it's going to stop with the money.
Yeah,
and ultimately it compromises what's come before it, and it's like, don't cast that shadow on something so great by giving us something so subpar later on.
Right.
Yeah. A prime example of that is we're getting the Black Phone 2, which is a sequel, not a prequel, which I still can't wrap my head around.
Really?
Did he die at the end of that movie?
Yeah, he got bludgeoned to death with a phone full of dirt. He definitely died.
Yeah. We didn't
Maybe
see
the
him die
kid's
on screen, though.
traumatized enough to do it himself to some other people. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
We kick off with the opening of the show, the introduction of some guests. So the opening of this is so late night Saturday telly. So you've got Jack Delroy is sort of coming out. He's like, oh, has anyone seen? No, it's Gus. He's like, oh, has anyone seen Jack? Because he doesn't come out when he introduces him, and he like pops up with a sheet and scares him. And it's like, it's so scripted and so contrived that you kind of eye roll at it. But that's exactly what you're meant to do. And I saw people complaining about it online, which is why I wanted to highlight it. Like, this is a point in the movie you're meant to go, oh, come on, really?
Are you kidding? This guy is Jimmy Fallon. Like, every time I was watching it, I was like, yeah, that's Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. I also viewed this as like the beginning of starting to see the cracks in this particular show, because the very last thing that Gus says is, Leo, is he drink?
Yeah.
Like alluding to that Jack has maybe tendencies that are not necessarily great. And Gus is a bit concerned, like, what's going on? It does, the beat that Jack takes to scare Gus does take a bit long, and it seems a bit comical, but it pays off in the end.
Yeah,
I thought so.
It does. We get the introduction of the first guest, which is Uri Geller. It's not, but it is Uri Geller. This is a guy called Christou. He cracks me up, from his costume through to his behavior. He's kooky, he's weird. He is Uri Geller, and I absolutely love it. He's a psychic, and his attempt to prove his abilities with the crowd had me barrel laughing. Like, I was holding my stomach. He's like, I see a man. And like, no one responds. He's like, no, it's a woman. Beginning with an A, no, a B, no, a C, no, a D. It was a D, wasn't it? It's a D. Derek, Darren.
Well, I don't know if did you guys catch when there were one point near when he starts freaking out, he loses his accent and he starts speaking an American accent again.
Yeah,
like even his accent was fake. Even his accent was fake. Yeah.
But again, like that whole thing where he loses his accent, like that's what I love so much about this guy's entire story arc and the way that it's presented on screen, is because he is so fake. Everything he's doing is falsified up until the point where it's not, because of what this young girl's done to him, and he can't handle it. His body and his brain physically cannot handle the powers that be, if you will, for him to commit to doing the things that he's claiming to, ultimately resulting in his death, which we find out. But it's like, that was so cool, because I was like, you're such a fraud. And you know me, I hate psychics. I hate any mediums or claims to have the powers to be able to do this. I think they're all conniving, robbing bastards preying on vulnerable people. And I say that on record. But seeing this guy get his comeuppance in the way that he does on this film, I was like, yeah, take that, man. That's what you get.
Yeah, I think it's very clear from the get-go that like he doesn't have, we've said that, like he doesn't have any real skills. So when the devil, who's clearly there the whole night, really does give him a psychic ability, his body explodes. Like he can't
physically
take
explodes.
And it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if Jack not acknowledging Minnie's like breakthrough
message,
is what caused it.
Is what caused it. Like, it is Jack inadvertently the cause of, because he does reveal it later. He does the next segment. He's like, oh yeah, when Christy tries to leave, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm the married man and Minnie is our secret name and blah blah blah. But he doesn't acknowledge it in the moment. And it makes me wonder if Minnie was trying to warn Jack, or if Jack had actually acknowledged in the moment, if Christy would still be here.
Yeah, because
or if the devil was just like, screw this, I'm going to kill this guy anyway, just to mess with Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Christy was screaming for someone to accept the message. Like, he's on his hands and knees, he's holding his head. He's like,
begging
someone accept, like anyone, like someone just say that they know a Minnie so this can leave my hand.
Right.
The guy who plays Christy is actually a really good actor. I was really impressed with how good an actor he is. And like this whole segment, I thought this was the perfect setup because it doesn't do anything too bad, but it just makes you go, "Ooh, okay, something's not right here." Because you see him do the false reading for the mother and daughter, like, "Oh, you lost a son," and like all of that, and it's very, very believable. But then when you see him have this moment, you're like, "No, that's believable. What you just done a minute ago wasn't." Before we move on any further, I want to talk about the guy in the skull costume in the crowd.
Yes.
Thoughts on this guy? Because he is there all the way through, never flinches, never moves, just stares straight forward.
There's a couple of them, though, isn't there?
He's in multiple scenes.
The skull
there's
guy
a Frankenstein as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Frankenstein, and then the guy in the owl's head. They're all part of the cult movement that you saw in the footage at the beginning.
Right.
They're all part of it. Yeah, and the way I perceived it is this was the only way they could get access to Lily, by being in the audience. So their presence there is what also enhanced her, I don't know, her possession, if you will. That was the way I perceived it anyway.
Getting access to Lily. What do you mean by they?
Because the people in the skull costume and stuff like that, which you find out at the end via Delroy's dream sequence, they all come up to him. They're part of the cultist movement that we see in the documentary footage at the beginning that were creating these seances, which was the house that Lily was at that burned to the ground. So they're part of the cultist movement that was all involved in her capture at the beginning. And then obviously since then she's been incarcerated and been under the care of this doctor. And obviously she's been detained, so they can't reach her. So being in this live studio audience, them being in the audience was obviously their way of being able to get close to her again. Which is why
I didn't put that together.
So it does kind of work and have meaning, but it's never fully explained properly in the movie. You just have to put it together yourself.
That's a way better understanding than what I had, because I solely focused on him because the camera, he has these weird mannerisms and he's in multiple scenes. And he's in the background, but he's also like in the forefront of the background. So he's not fully in the background. And I just was like, this guy's the devil. Like that's who the devil is. But now that you say that, like my mind is just going back to the audience and because I just recently watched it. And I think you're like, they might be performing some sort of seance. And that's why she's been acting up a little bit more because the cult is maybe re-emerging,
enhancing it.
Well, I think they also might be just re-emerging because they all kind of killed themselves in that house. But
and we don't know whether this is the second generation of family or the cult or the movement or something like that. But there is a few of them in the audience. There's a Frankenstein one as well that has a similar persona. And then at the end in the dream sequence, you see them all gather around Jack. And you can sort of pinpoint who's who from the audience with by the costumes they're wearing.
So are they implying that the cult that she was part of is connected to the Grove?
I believe so.
Like the owl thing is a Grove thing, I thought.
Right. Yes.
But the demon priest who we see in a bit is also at the very end. He's part of that dream segment. So I'm assuming they're all connected one way or the other.
It doesn't necessarily tell you. It drip feeds you enough clues to insinuate that they're all part of the same movement and they are there for the event.
Right.
I might be completely wrong as well, by the way. I have no fucking idea, but that's just the way I are.
It sounds good to me, man. It sounds good to me.
It works in my head.
After Chris has his meltdown, he's holding his head and some of the lights start to flicker and go off. Jack's like, we're going to take a quick break. And we get a look behind the scenes. I love the fact they transition to black and white, and this is done very much in a found footage docu style. Completely unbelievable. This would never happen on a 70s production, but it works for what they needed it to. Gus is worried about Jack. He's worried about what he's got planned later. Christou is in a bad way. Like, he's sat there, his head's fried, his nose is bleeding. And Jack tells the producer, the producer tells Jack, there are scouts from a big network in the audience. You need to be on the ball. Like, everything's got to be on point from now because we are going to be the biggest show ever once they sign us. When they come back from the break, we get the leading voice in Skeptics, a character called Carmichael, who's a retired magician. I don't think I've ever hated a character in a movie as much as I hate this guy. This guy is Mark. This is Mark.
I was going to say, I liked him. I was on board with this dude, but I also thought that he was a red herring as well. Like you mentioned earlier about it possibly being the guy in the skull being the devil. I honestly thought that this skeptic was going to be like, and I thought that we would, because I had no idea how this movie was going to play out. And then once Lily's introduced, I thought, oh, this is probably going to be an act like the Uri Geller thing. And then it's going to turn out at the end that the skeptic is actually the devil. And he's the one who ends up blowing shit up at the end, if you will, for the final act. So I was always fixated on him. I was like, I'm looking out for clues that you're dodgy. Obviously that never came about, but I really like this dude. I say it never came about that he was dodgy, but then when he did that hypnotizing thing at the end, I was like, oh, maybe I'm right. Maybe my theory is right, and this dude is legit.
Yeah, I wanted to punch him as soon as he hit the screen. He didn't even say a word. But I appreciate. I like actors who who draw that out of me. Yeah. You know, it's like I'm blanking on his name, but it's like the bad guy from The Patriot. Like, if you guys seen that movie,
no,
it's you from that particular
they're not
actor.
Patriots,
what was that?
They're not patriots. They're the enemy.
Oh
yeah,
right. Okay.
We've seen a movie similar, but it's told from a different perspective. It's the one where you win.
That's it. It's a completely different movie. Okay, so we got the American propaganda. They got the British propaganda. We understand. I understand. So yeah, but that particular actor, it's like every time he's on screen in almost any movie, he's playing a bad guy, which is kind of bad for him being typecast like that. But from the moment that Carmichael stepped on screen, he didn't even say a word. I was like, this dude, I hate him, but he provided a level of like it. The movie needed it. The show needed to be grounded
against
some exactly.
Yeah,
and the thing is as well, which I liked him so much, is because even when you see Delroy cracking and like losing it, he almost steps up to be the presenter of the show. and his presence is that powerful. I was like, man, you're
Right.
cool as shit. I like you.
Yeah,
don't get the hate, guys.
You were on your own. Like he starts explaining that he's a skeptic and he disproves things and he does this for a living. He's got a check for $100,000 for anyone who can prove real abilities, and like this rubs Christou the wrong way, and they have kind of a little bit of an argument. And Christou's like, "Well, I don't need your money." He's like, "Well, I guess not, because you've got all these suckers to pay for your false readings. Why would you need my money?" I was like, "Oh, harsh," but true. Now, Christou throws water in his face, and like Jack then like calms everything down and addresses the reading that he had, and this is where he says, "Look, I am the one who." Minnie is my wife's pet name. Like it's me that they were trying to connect with. And Carmichael just wades in being a dick again, going, well, maybe Christou can prove it and give us another. And Christou just goes full Exorcist, black vomit across the screen, flat on the deck. Like I went, oh shit. Like I didn't see it coming. It was such a good sort of, I thought he was going to storm off or he was going to be disproven, but to have this sort of Exorcist moment, I thought was great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It comes so out of left field as well, because we're only like 15, 20 minutes into the movie. So I was like, shit, is it gearing up to this level already? And another thing, that's why I enjoyed sort of watching this movie like I did, because I feel like the pacing and the tension building throughout is done very carefully. It's a very roller coaster ride throughout. You're so suspicious of everybody on screen, because I don't know if you have the same perception of it, if you know how this movie plays out, but I had no idea going in. I've done a really good job of avoiding spoilers for this. So I was always constantly on edge watching things. And then when this happened, I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, we're going there already.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't pull any punches either. And like as soon as this happened, Jack's like, cut to commercial. We need a commercial. We see them getting Christou to the dressing room. And I like the fact that we see Gus step in and he's like playing with the crowd, like keeping the crowd entertained and happy. He's like, and that's why you should also always have Pepto-Bismol before you try to contact the spirits. Like,
yeah, he's good.
He's really good. I really like his character. He is, if anyone's been and seen any live TV, like live TV recorded that's done with a studio audience, there is this guy on every single set.
He's like the crowd handler.
He fires up the crowd. He tells them how it works. He tells them, like, this is when you cheer, this is when you're quiet, this is when you clap. And then when they're redoing sets, this is the guy who's out there telling jokes and sitting down with people and like, what's your name? Where you from? Like, this guy is as much of a host as Jack Delroy. And I like that they showed that. It is real attention to detail, because they didn't need to show that. It's irrelevant to the plot.
One of the things that I liked about this a lot, just like the immersion in this is a real show, you know?
Yeah.
It really makes you feel like you're like I'm sitting at home watching Carson, you know, when I was a kid. And I don't know, it's just really felt like that a lot. Really,
it's really immersive, isn't it? It does a good job of keeping you in that zone of this is a reality kind of thing. Like, I know we've seen a lot of found footage movies between us all and how they try and play upon this is real life events, this is actually happening. I think the way that this film is formatted does a very good job of bringing that authenticity to the forefront and making it feel very real, even with the cutaway segments when they go to ads. And I know they switch to black and white, but it still is digestible to have this extra footage in there, as if it's sort of like archival. The cameras kept rolling and they managed to maintain this, or someone was around doing behind the scenes stuff like bonus content you get on a DVD, and they've just edited it together in post in order to put this together for us as a documentary viewer. So I was really invested in it from this side of things.
Yeah, and the fact that it's black and white, and I noticed that the aspect ratio shifted to like 16:9.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where before it's like 4:3, and for the black and white it's wide, almost like you're kind of like a fly on the wall. Like that, maybe this wasn't actually recorded or something.
It's really clever.
I don't know if it's in the first commercial break that they take or the second one, but as he's walking past the mirror, his wife is in the mirror in the background, just like for a split second.
I didn't see that.
Nor did I.
So it shows how she's been in, like she's been there Been there the entire time.
Yeah. I was going to say, because we do see
places.
later on that you get sort of flashes of her, even though they show them massively on screen. I was like, I wonder if this is one of those films where it has hundreds of them throughout, and like someone's compiled a list of all the ones that we missed, because I didn't see any. The only one that I really saw was the one in the back of the head in the exorcism later on. I was like, oh, it's done the whole Pazuzu thing.
Yeah,
I
I
was like,
have
I
lots
bet
of
there's
questions
loads
about
of
that.
them. Yeah, I was like, I bet there's loads of them in here.
From the very beginning, like when so they do that 1970s monologue right there in the very beginning, and then they switch over to the studio with the television right there. Right when they flip on the television, you see a glimmer of the devil. And
really?
I didn't notice it in the theater, because why would I notice anything like that on a giant screen? Why not notice it on a tiny screen? And I'm also not looking for it. I'm not paying attention to that kind of stuff. I was also very kind of thrown by the monologue there, because I thought we were jumping into all of the advertisements and trailers have been focused on the late night show. So I thought we were jumping into more the late night show aspect, but I have come to appreciate that beginning section. But I was also now looking for the devil. So I wasn't really looking for Minnie at all. I know that she pops up there towards the end, but it leads me to believe, like, because their relationship, like, she was the thing that grounded Jack, and the fact that she's no longer here, she's still this pure thing in his life. And if he did have to sacrifice her in order to gain the popularity to sell his soul to the devil kind of thing, like, she's there watching over him the entire night until the final moment when it all kind of just hits the fan, and she's not there anymore.
Yeah. I think it is one that at some point we'll get someone will go, these are all the scenes she appears in, the same as they've recently done it with Hill House, Haunting a Hill House. Like, the ghost is almost in every single scene at some point, and I've seen loads and loads of clips of that popping up where it's in a mirror or in a glass or in the glass on a table, like just these brief, like less than like blink and you miss it shots. So I imagine that's something that we're going to get in the near future. Christo, so like in this break, we've got Carmichael, and after Christo's sort of been taken off, Carmichael and Jack are arguing, and they're like, Carmichael's like, he's a charlatan, he's a fake, and Jack's like, no, he's not. He's like, you set this up, and like Jack gets to the point where he just walks away, and he bumps into his producer, who's like, the switchboard is on fire. Keep doing what you're doing. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm not really feeling. He's like, no, don't worry about any other shit. Like, don't get freaked out. Just go out there and keep doing this, because this is perfect. And we come back from break with more dick-like behaviour from Carmichael. And he goes straight in with, yeah, well, what Christo done is called spouting, and it's this, and they swallow certain stuff, and then they throw it up, and like the guy nearly died. Like, we saw him nearly die on TV, and you're like dismissing it. Like, he's such a prick. But
he gives him credit. It's like, don't get me wrong, he's a great performer in what he does, but it's all bullshit.
Time for another guest. Jack shows a book, Conversations with the Devil. And we get a quick clip of footage of the doctor who wrote the book, as Dr. June. And we meet the First Church of Abraxas, which is directly based on the Church of Satan. We see young girls that are trapped there that are allegedly they're bred for human sacrifice. And then we see like SWAT teams raiding the premises, and then they light it on fire, and everyone dies apart from one little girl called Lily, who was saved. Lily is a demonic reference as well, a reference to Lilith, the Queen of Hell, which I thought was quite interesting. Now, the doctor takes her in and treats her, and then eventually becomes like a guardian. She effectively adopts this little girl and is raising her and doing sessions with her to communicate with the demon within her. And this is the bit that they're going to do. So it's welcome to the stage, Dr. June and demonic Lily. This girl is creepy as fuck from the second she walks on stage. I'm like, oh no, I don't like you at all.
Yeah. It's her fixation on the cameras that are live that got me. And even when she's talking to Delroy, he's like, you don't have to look at the cameras. You can look at me when you're talking. She's just like fixated. And she switches with the lights as well. So when it switches camera, her viewpoint changes. It's very, very uncomfortable to watch.
I immediately turned into Carmichael in this moment. I will admit.
Finally, you're coming on board.
As soon as she came on screen and did her little curtsy and whatnot, I was like, that's the devil. Like, that's no longer Lily. Also, I was like, how did she survive? How did she survive? You mean to tell me that everybody doused themselves in gasoline, lit the whole house on fire, and she is the phoenix from the ashes? Nah, I'm good. We're playing with the I immediately turned into a skeptic. Immediately. I called BS on the whole thing. I was like, no, you're dancing, you're flying too close to the sun. You're flying too close to the sun, dude. Also,
go ahead. Yes,
also, like, who is it? Who's her caretaker again? What was her name?
Jude.
Dr. Jude.
Yeah, from the moment that we see her, she is very like skittish about what's going on, and you don't fully know why. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe there is that black and white scene where she does talk about it. But yeah, from the moment that we saw Lily, I was like, she is clearly fully a puppet for whatever demon is. Like, because that's not a child. Because her mannerisms are so she's not moving normally.
No,
she's not acting normally.
That actress is amazing. She's amazing. So good. Very believable.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very, very
they present her in a way that she's like overly polite and overly PC in the way that she presents herself, and everything is
just stares into the camera.
Out of a handbook. Like this is how you act. This is how you present yourself if you're trying to impress. And it's like, young girls don't act like that. They would be very nervous. They wouldn't be as forthcoming as she is. Like, something is not right with this girl.
Right.
The thing is that this is where she really showcases how good she is. Like in this moment, so Jack's talking to her, and she's like, "Don't worry about your ratings, Jack. You'll be famous very, very soon." And Jack's like, "Well, let's hope so." And we're going to cut to a break now, and there's another commercial break. And during this ad break, Jack's like, "Well, let's get everyone's makeup done. Do Lily's makeup." And Lily turns to him. Her eyes change slightly. Her voice changed. She's like, "Am I not pretty already?" And it's like, oh no.
Madeline's
was this
voice.
the voice of his wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was, because the way he sort of like stops dead in his tracks, but then also is very nonchalant about it, as if it's almost in his own head. And I was like, is that your wife speaking through her?
Yeah, I instantly thought it was.
I think it was definitely his wife, and I keep wondering if the way that this whole thing is set up, it seems like not only is Mr. Wriggles, as she calls him, inhabiting her and possessing her, I wonder if Madeline's in there too.
Yeah, I kind of got that I kind of got the battle she has later was those two characters battling it out too.
Yeah, like maybe it's like the punishment for Jack maybe not fulfilling his side of the deal, or I don't know.
Yeah, they don't
like
really
when
go
Madeline
into
died,
it
she's
too
like
deeply.
she like belongs to this whatever the guy's name, Abracadabra guy.
Yeah,
Abracadabra,
a really fun fact that I didn't put into our facts, but I'll drop it now. Allegedly, if you sign a deal with the devil for your soul, for fame or fortune or whatever it may be, the time period is 7 years. That's how long you get from when you sign the deal to when he comes to collect, which is exactly the time difference from the death of his wife to the events that are transpiring here, which I thought was really cool. And
so is that when he signs his contract with, I don't know what the name of the program is on here. Should we just say ABC for purposes? Is that when he signs that contract at the beginning?
Yeah. Yeah, so
right.
it's when
he did
goes
not look
to
happy when he was signing the contract.
No, he really didn't.
Because they show it later on in a different light where he has like a goblet of blood as he's signing the contract. And I was like, oh, maybe that is right. Okay.
But yeah, if you do sign a deal with the devil, you get 7 years, which is why I'd never sign one because that is not enough time. But make it 70 years.
That's why
he only gave me 6. So
You've been shortchanged, man.
Dr. June in the break is like Jack wants to do like a live demonstration of the sort of possession and like get the demon to come forward. And June's like, this is a bad idea. She's been really unpredictable. She's had a couple of incidents recently. And Jack's like, that's great. That's like perfect. That's exactly what live television's for it to be unpredictable. Wild. She's like, you do not get it. But he manages to convince her to do it. And instantly, like here, I knew they were sleeping together at this point. Like instantly I'd gone, there is like, he's persuading her with more than just, come on, you're on TV. This is a, come on, do it for me, honey. It was that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
This is where we find out that Christou has died. And the producer tells Jack. And Jack's response just fully sums up his character for me. He's like, you cannot let the rest of the crew know. Like, no remorse, no like, oh, that's really sad. Like, it's just don't tell anyone. We'll get through tonight and we'll tell them all tomorrow. It's like, you are a really bad dude.
He is, but I kind of get it. I kind of do get it. Like, it's a live event. Like, it can wait an hour until the show is finished, surely.
I also view that like, this is his last stitched effort. It feels very much like a Hail Mary, no pun intended there. Like, but it does. It feels very much like he's thrown so much crap at the wall to see what sticks. And it's only now after Minnie's death that his ratings started to decline because he's right there with Carson. Yeah. Like the whole time, right there with Carson, just underneath him. And then it's like Minnie dies, his muse, his tether dies, his ratings start to decline. He starts to just throw everything at the wall. And now we're here. He's hook, line, and sinker, completely sold on this show. This is the thing that's going to save him. And it is incredibly sad that he is like, keep this keep this under wraps. But it also makes complete sense in light of how far he's come and what he's willing to do for his own success.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like this whole setup. I also like the argument, like as June's trying to explain like what she does with Lily and how their relationship is, like Carmichael keep butting in. And she's like, look, there's no point me being here if this dickhead's going to keep opening his mouth. And Jack's like, look, how about you let her speak? And like this whole setup and like Lily explaining that the demon is called Mr. Wriggles because he wriggles inside her head and then out again. And she's like, June is like the way to control that. So when he gets in, like June can then take him out again. And it's all set up very, very well for what comes next. Now, we get another ad break before we go into this segment. And in this ad break, you've got the doctor rips into Jack going like, we cannot do this. And this is where Gus gets involved. And Gus has been fairly quiet throughout. And he's like, Jack, look, this is a bad idea. You are meddling with things you do not understand. And I get it. Like, you want to prove this is real, but we know Christou has died. There's people thinking about jumping ship. Like, this can't happen. And while he's having this conversation, like in the background, you can see this poor little girl being strapped into like the chair from Exorcist Believer. It's like, oh no. For the record, the chair in this is used much better than they used it in Believer. I found this much better. We're back from break, and this is where like everything's changed now. So like the mood lighting has changed. Jack's demeanor has changed. He's no longer the hi, welcome back to Night Owls. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Night Owls. We are now about to commune with the devil. It's like the whole vibe has changed, and we've got this poor girl strapped to a chair, and they begin this process to draw the demon out. Now, the doctor telling, like, I need everyone in the audience to shut up. I need, like, Carmichael, you do not speak. You do not get involved. Lily, you stay with me all the way through. Stay focused on me. I thought these are really good basic rules to follow. Like, everyone shut the fuck up. I'm going to do this quick. I'm going to show you what we could do. I'm going to shut this shit down. You're all going to go, wow, and we're going to go home. That's the whole vibe that she was giving.
Because she did not want to do this at all.
No.
But again, she didn't want to do it, but I don't understand the incentive for her to do it. Like, there was no benefit to her for performing this on live TV. Like, why did she not shut this down and be like, nah, this isn't a good idea?
Pressure?
I'm curious as to why she brought Lily in the first place. Like, she knew going into this that Lily is becoming increasingly unpredictable. But it might just simply be pressure. And it is also, we have to remind ourselves that it is the 70s. So, like, there are vastly different rules that men and women play by in that particular time. So she clearly has this expertise, but
as a woman being held down by her career, sort of thing. Not just that, but trying to further her own career, I suppose.
Right.
She's not
She's
getting the window of opportunity to do it. Yeah. And being a woman in such a field that she's in.
And
maybe
her boyfriend has invited her on his fancy show.
Yeah.
And he's probably like,
I've just talked myself out of my own answer now, haven't I?
You did.
He clearly has puts a lot of pressure on her throughout the whole thing to do more and keep going, and she doesn't want to, but he pressures her to. And I think there might be something to what you're saying, Zach. For once, about the 70s, because like women in the US could not have a credit card until like 73 or 76.
Yeah.
And without their husbands co-signing it. So,
yeah.
I mean,
we spoke about that recently on True Crime. Like, bank accounts didn't come in until like the mid to late 60s. Like, a woman couldn't even have her own bank account, let alone a credit card, which is just mind blowing if you think about that now, like how different it was. Like, this
I
whole
you guys also. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
No, you go.
That when they're introducing Lily and Jane, right?
Jane or Jude.
Yeah, something like that.
June. Remember that? And when they're introducing, they have that little video and showing all like the occult stuff. Was there like that satanic panic in the late 70s, early 80s in the UK with? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if it was here in the UK. I know it was a very Americanized thing with the whole Manson.
We did have it here, but not on the same scale that it was in the United States. So, like, we did have it here where there was a division of the police set up, division of the Metropolitan Police to tackle it. Same as in the United States, there was specific divisions of law enforcement that dealt with satanic incidents, I think is what they referred to them as. So there was, if a beat cop turned up to something that looked like a satanic crime scene, there was a number he called and a special team come in to deal with it, who had the expertise. I know for the US one of the teams that the FBI had a demonologist. It had various other people who had knowledge of the occult, and they could turn up and very quickly decipher whether this is potentially something demonic or whether this is just people who are off their face on drugs going, oh, we're going to draw a pentagram and put some candles around. Like, they have.
You guys always do things a lot bigger and better than we ever could, and I think it was a much more a widespread incident in the US than it was here.
Over here, there was some middle-aged housewives who were just like burning sage and cursing their neighbors. The demonic change in Lily is fabulous. Where she goes and puts her head down, and when her head comes back up, like the slightest changes in makeup, making her like slightly moldy around her chin and making her eyes change and the voice change where she's talking.
And her hair's even kind of greasy.
Yeah, like all of these subtle changes I thought were really, really well done. And I love the fact that when the demon comes through, the demon's first response is like, why the fuck am I strapped to a chair? Who are all these people? Like, the demon freaks out. The demon's like, what's going on? Like, why am I here? And I thought that was a really nice touch because, again, like, that makes sense. The demon's not in her possessing her all the time, and the demons arrived, strapped to a chair, turn around, there's studio lights, there's cameras, there's a live studio audience. The demon's like, excuse me? And this is where the demons... Go on.
It did, but it also brought into question for me my Carson theory again. I was like, but I was under the illusion that it was here the whole time and like always ever watching, regardless of who was in control of the body that it was possessing, it would always be knowing. So when it like had this whole, oh my God, how did I get here kind of stint, I was like, yeah, I think this is an act. I think they're putting this on and this is sort of like a red herring and they're not actually going to be real. So it just kind of threw me off a little bit when they started doing this shtick. I thought it was a bit. I thought they were doing a bit at this point. I mean, I know obviously you're talking about the makeup and the hair and the look and stuff like that, and you can't really throw that away like they do. But that's another thing about possession movies that I don't quite understand, which is why I never really fully invest in the genre itself, is because they do this and then like she has like lacerations and stuff on her face, but when she comes out of it, like the human body doesn't work like that, regardless of possession. Like it doesn't, we're not Wolverine, do you know what I mean? It doesn't just heal itself within a moment because they're no longer possessed. So like I don't
have you ever been possessed, Mark? I mean, come on.
I haven't. No, do you know why I haven't, Steve? Because it's not fucking real.
Exactly. So, I mean, you don't know what happens with the skin. Come on.
Yeah.
This is where the demon spots Jack and like, oh, hi, Jack. Nice to see you again. And Jack's like, have we met? She's like, don't be silly, Jack. Of course we've met. You remember that time in the tall trees? Like, this is great. And I love that when June tries to get her back and she just goes on this absolute rant. Come on, June, you know, Jack and June went up the hill to fuck each other's brains out. You slag, cool. you whore. And like June just backhands her. Like, how dare you? Like this whole segment is really, really, really good. And it's really like, oh. And June resorts to pulling out like a talisman and goes all like 1990s The Mummy and starts like doing an incantation to banish the demon back. And this is where we get Force Lightning. It is like Star Wars level Force Lightning, Child's Play, original Force Lightning, all around the set. The chair starts levitating and then it hits the deck. And as it hits the deck, Lily is back. And Carmichael, like straight away, without even taking a breath to like understand what he's absorbed, like, I know all the tricks they've done and I want to tell you all about them. And Jack's like, look, we're going to cut to a break and then you can do that. Like his instant reaction was not even like, wow, that was impressive. Like straight away, I know everything they done and I can prove it all was a lie.
Yeah. The entire time he's sitting there just like, no, like he's shaking his head the entire time, which completely goes against like it's kind of what Lily and June have been talking to him about, like countering his argument back is like, you're so close. You call yourself a skeptic. You want to give out this check. You want there to be this thing, but every time we prove ourselves, you're so close-minded. You can't see any of it. You can't accept any of this stuff. And yeah, so he is his own red herring. Like the skepticism aspect of or the act that he's putting on, the skeptic act is he started his university to disprove all of this stuff. He's not trying to find anything. He's trying to disprove every little thing because he has this superiority complex. And it's not until the very end when the actual stuff hits the fan that he starts to pray to the deity. And
yeah, I loved it when he did that.
I had a thought about that because it you know how if the most anti-gay politicians always end up being gay, and like I feel like he's the most anti supernatural thing, and I think he wants to believe so badly. He wants to think it's real because it like Zach was saying, made a good point again, Zach. Thank you.
You're on tonight, Zach. Well done.
Yeah. he immediately shifts to like praying, like Lord of the Flies, God of the Undead, and all this stuff. Like he had this prayer memorized, like he's saying it all the time.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, this is what I've been waiting for the whole time. And so
It's almost like he's so consumed by his own fear of the possibility that it is real that he's committed his entire life to disproving it in a way.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really clever. Like every character in this is built very good. Every single character from Jack through to Gus, like everyone has their own individual arc, and they're all very independent of each other, influenced by behaviors of other people. And there's not many movies that actually do that. Like there's so many movies, like in another movie, Gus would be a throwaway character. Carmichael would just be a throwaway skeptic. But all of these characters actually have a start point, and where they start and where they end is completely different. And they've done such a good job of doing that. In the next ad break, Carmichael rips into Jack. Like, I can't believe you've done this. This is just shameless. Like, invoking the name of your dead wife and like putting this whole thing together all because you're shagging the doctor. And Jack's like, look, I can't deal with you now. And he goes over and he starts helping Lily get like untied. And after he does that, he goes straight to June. He's like, I was thinking we could make this a regular thing. Like, you get Lily on every week. And like, what are you doing? Like,
read the room, dude.
Yeah.
But this poor girl's like
Shameless.
crying and like shaking. June is terrified. And he's like, so I was thinking next week we could do this again, but maybe like throw some fire in to like make it a bigger event.
Yeah.
We find out that some staff have walked off, and we see Gus goes and lets loose at the producer, and the producer is fabulous because the producer is exactly how I would imagine a producer to be. He's like, how about instead of doing what you're doing now, you shut the fuck up, go away and go and do your fucking job before I fire you. And I was like, wow. And Gus is like,
oh, and he proper brings him down as well. He's like, smile, bigger.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it. And I'm like, oh, you arsehole. How demeaning.
It's so bad. We also find out that some of them walked off. So some of the crew now have gone, do you know what? I've seen enough. I'm going home. We also find out it's the biggest TV broadcast since the moon landing. So Jack is now on this massive high. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is the best thing ever.
And so he's not going to stop now, right? So it's like double the all of the positive affirmations and everything. Like he's not gonna stop no matter what.
Well, that's what that producer does the entire time. He just keeps feeding Jack's ego every time we see him. He's like more, and it's a perfect. He might be the devil, like truly.
Yeah,
he might actually be the devil because he's guiding this orchestrating the entire thing all along.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how. It makes me wonder how many devils are in this, right?
Yeah,
like the Carmichael's kind of a devil because he's egging it on, and then the girl. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
I think if you looked into it and dissected it properly, there is many ways that they're probably trying to. Do you know how like movies have like Hollywood is a true devil in this metaphor and things like that? I'm sure if you pulled this movie apart enough, you could be like, yeah, that's what the message is that Hollywood and the producers, they're the true devils in the situation.
Fame is the true devil.
Exactly. And I'm sure there is that message somewhere within this movie. And I've only seen it once for the purposes of doing it for this show. But I reckon if I went and give it another couple of rewatches, I could probably pull it apart to find that message somewhere. But I didn't catch it this time around because there was that much going on. I had no fucking idea.
That message is definitely there. It is very much, you don't want to be famous. You should be a normal person and stay at home. That's better for you. When we come back from the break, everyone's now sat back on their seats on the main stage. And Jack apologizes to anyone who was upset or offended. And Lily can't remember what happened. She's like, I kind of remember it. It's kind of like a dream, but I don't remember any detail. I'm really sorry if Mr. Wriggle said anything that wasn't very nice. It's like, he kind of did. This is where Carmichael's like, look, this is all bullshit. I'm concerned about this child's well-being. And June rips into him like, I look after this girl. I love this girl. I like love is something I'm sure you understand less than you do about the paranormal. And Carmichael's like, it's all bullshit, and I am going to prove it, and I need a test subject. And then he just looks at Gus. He's like, "Thank you, Gus." And Gus is like, "No, not me." This is the bit of the movie that I think is the cleverest thing they do.
Mm-hmm.
So they sit Gus down on the chair, and Carmichael hypnotizes Gus, but they also make it very apparent that he is also hypnotizing the studio audience and Jack and viewers at home. They make it, he's like, everyone at home, make sure you pay attention, make sure you watch this spinning. Jack, you too, make sure you're watching on the monitor. And he convinces Gus that he's really hot, and Gus starts to strip down. He's also itchy, and we see his neck's bleeding a little bit, and then he pulls a worm out of his neck, which is absolutely disgusting. And then with that, he's like, rips his top off, digs his hands into his stomach, and just pulls his stomach apart, and all these worms are pouring out. And then we get a worm, like a massive worm, busts out of his eyeball.
I just want to say as well, the visual effects are like so 70s, sort of like Cronenberg-esque. I was like, yes, if you're going to do practical and visual effects in this movie, make them 70s era appropriate. And I've had a few people say how like the practical effects and stuff in this are shit. And I'm like, yeah, they are, but they're also era appropriate, which is what I think they were going for with this movie. They could have quite easily made this very authentically graphic and really gory and sort of like Hostel style level stuff, but they didn't. They chose to go down the Cronenberg 70s style aspect of it, and I thought that was just perfect for me. When I was watching it, I was like, yes, it enhances that whole immersive experience of the 4:3 ratio and the whole 70s thing that they've got going on, and the late night talk show thing, and it just brings everything full circle. And for those people who are out there saying that it's really crap, I think you're kind of missing the point, really. I think they purposefully had to dumb down the quality in order to do this.
Yeah, you can't.
And it was extremely effective.
Yeah,
I mean, for me anyway, because I had no idea that I had a phobia of worms being in my body. Now I'm like, stick me away from the worms.
Yeah,
I've seen horrible. A lot of movies too. It's like, really creepy.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned earlier, Scott, that you thought this was really, really clever. And it is, and I will give it a pass, but this is where I start to see cracks appearing in this movie that I don't like. And then we will get to where it fully falls off the rails. But this is the start of it. And I think they do a good job of making this segment acceptable enough with the hypnotizing and the clock and the wheel and how he's hypnotizing everybody at home to see what he's trying to represent on screen in a way that you could also be involved in that experience. But then this is where it starts to sort of crumble a little bit.
Yeah,
I know
what
movie a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all know which point we all kind of go, well, how does that work for found footage? But we'll talk about that in a second. Carmichael
I also had a theory that sorry, before you go ahead, I had kind of a theory that the devil is actually enhancing this whole thing.
Yeah,
like it's not. I mean, maybe that's not a theory. It's obvious for everybody else, but
not necessarily. No, but I know, like now you're mentioning it.
Because Carmichael doesn't seem like he understands. He's like, I didn't realize it was going to be that big of a deal, and he couldn't stop him for a while. He's like,
I don't know if that was him playing it up, though. I don't know if that was him just acting up, because immediately he comes out of it himself and clicks it off and turns it off, and he's like, "See, look, this is how easy it is to perform these tricks."
Yeah, I didn't think that he there was that moment when he reality hit him. He thought he could just snap out of it and everything would be fine because he thought he had control. But I think I agree with Steve. Like the devil is orchestrating this entire thing. Control is the thing that that's a central message for this entire thing. Jack thinks that he has control of the show. Jack thinks that he has control of his own fame. Jack thinks he has control of his own life. And so does Carmichael. Like Carmichael has this superiority complex. He thinks that he has control over this particular moment until he snaps his fingers. Reality hits him. I think he really has a moment. But then, like, through our own deception, he is like, oh, I have another bag, or I have another trick in my bag. I'll just pull out this other saying, and I think the devil is really playing with Carmichael.
Yeah, so like I kind of took this as he was doing the whole I can't snap him out thing as a sort of like a performance, and he was doing that on purpose to sort of allude to how real this kind of thing was. And then when he stepped back onto the stage, he kind of clicked it again. But do you guys perceive it as he failed the first time because the devil was controlling it, and then eventually when he tried to go again, it was the devil who shut it off? Because he immediately comes around like, see, I did all this. And I didn't know whether that was just his ego taking charge of that moment and being like, yeah, see, I knew what I was doing the whole time. Or because in reality, if it wasn't him switching it off, he should have really been really shocked by that. I'm like, oh, holy shit, what the fuck's just happened? But he's not doing that. He's like, see, I told you.
See, my take on this was that he was deliberately mocking June and her inability to bring Lily out of it. I thought he was digging at June, going, look, I too can make it look like I don't have control, but actually I do. But again, like, this is easily perceived from both viewpoints. I don't think either of us are incorrect. Like, there's definitely multiple ways. There's multiple ways you can view this entire movie, as we've spoken about. Right. But there's so many perspectives. Carmichael does snap him out of it, and all of the audience too, and everyone's shocked and stunned, and Jack's like, what just happened? He's like, play back the footage and you'll see. And on the footage, the camera doesn't lie. And on the footage, like, there's nothing there are no worms, like no one's seeing anything. It's just Gus just having a meltdown and like scratching his belly and like scratching his neck, and it's really cool and really clever.
And it is, and that's again another thing that I want to say is like, this is digestible enough for me as an audience member, because I'm watching this and they focus so heavily upon the audience at home watching the clock, and you two are under the same illusion that Gus is under. So when we see it play out like it does, and then they go back and roll the B-roll footage to say, look, no, this is actually what happened. The camera doesn't lie. That's just your own visual representation of it. I was like, yeah, I digest that. That works for me. Like, this is still, I'm still in focus. I'm still on board with the whole found footage element. I can buy that and I can swallow that pill. I'm pointing this out now because of where I'm going to go in about 5 minutes time.
What I think is great now is the producers are trying to push Jack through his earpiece to get the band on, call the end of the show, call it a night. It's been a great show. We'll call it there. And as he's trying to do this, Lily's like, well, why don't we just play back the footage of when me and June done it? You'd agree, wouldn't you, Carmichael, that the camera doesn't lie? And he went, of course. And she's like, well, let's do that. And Jack's like holding his earpiece going, yeah, no, we'll just book him for another week. Like, we're rolling, just roll the footage. And they roll the footage. And as they roll it, Jack asks for it to be slowed down. And we see his wife behind him, like with her hand on his shoulder. And
again, not to interrupt you, but just can I ask, did anybody see that the first time around? And is that actually, does anyone know if that's actually in it? Like, if you slowed it down enough that's actually there? Because I saw in that moment, you see the back of her head and you see a Pazuzu flash image, but it doesn't focus upon that on that instance. That's what I thought they were going to come back to. I was like, because the first time you watch it, you see like an image flash up on the back of her head, like a ghostly face. Did anybody catch that? Yeah. Did you catch that the first time around? Yeah. So when they were slowing this down, when they were slowing this footage down, I thought, oh, that's what they're going to focus upon, is what the image was on the back of her head, and then it'll reveal to be Lily or something like that. But then they don't. They show that she stood in the background with her hand on Delroy's shoulder. And I was like, so what was the image that we saw on the back of her head? I'm not going to go back and slow it down because I just don't have the time in my life to do so. So can someone please message me in and let me know the relevance of that and what it was?
As every time you make a stupid comment on our show, I will go back and slow it down, and I will release that clip when we do the release for this episode. Thank you.
Right, if you would, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're welcome.
I mean, I got the vibe that she was like comforting him, like protecting him or something.
Yeah.
That's what I got. Carmichael is like losing his mind at this point. He's like, "This is disgusting. It's a scam. You're just a disgusting, horrible human being." And Lily is kind of like curling up, and then the studio lights go off, and then we get force lightning again, like all around the studio, and then Lily head splits in two, releasing even more lightning.
Did not expect that.
It was like full Ghostbusters. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm in. I'm in. I love it.
See, I love Gus here because Gus jumps straight in with the power of Christ compels you, which cracked me up. And then he gets his neck snapped.
Which was cool, by the way, like that effect. And then he falls and flops and smashes through the coffee table. I was like, that looked fucking awesome.
Yeah,
really, really good.
I did think it was hilarious, by the way. His crucifix is like about an inch.
It's the tiniest one in the world.
It's not about the size, it's about what you do with it.
Well, you can't do a lot with that. He's clearly.
It definitely did not work.
June tries to use her talisman that she used earlier to snap Lily out of it, and she gets lifted up by it round her neck. I did not expect it to cut through her neck and almost sever her head completely.
No, it was like a full Hereditary moment. Not only did it kill her and cut her throat, but I was like, I didn't expect her to die. I honestly was so shocked by her death. I was like, oh my God, they've actually killed her. I thought she'd be one of those at the end where they do. I know not everything needs a happy ending, but the way the movie was playing out, I was expecting her and Delroy to have this whole happy ending together.
And what is this, a French movie all of a sudden?
Yeah, and learn from their experiences. But yeah, they just full thingy Colette in her neck off, and I was like, that's brutal.
Yeah, I expected
the
it.
exact same thing.
I honestly expected it the entire time, and it's because the second time that I watched this movie, I noticed the way that Lily looked at June. And every time she looked at June, she looked at her with contempt. Like, get out of my way. I'm here for a purpose. But I was also looking at it through the lens of Lily is unpredictable. Mm-hmm. She has been, like, the day before, the week before, whatever, she was saying Jack's name repeated. And so clearly Mr. Wriggles is preparing for this thing. The devil is... everything is coming due at this point. And so she's the only one there for a purpose. And you notice that when June asks Mr. Wriggles what his purpose is, he immediately lights up and starts. That's when he starts talking about the Grove and all of that stuff. And so the fact that Lily, Mr. Wriggles, killed June made complete sense to me, because June is standing in Lily's way, or the devil's way, of getting anything done. So you got to go. Yeah. You have to die.
Yeah,
definitely.
This is where Carmichael does his like satanic prayer, and his head just sets ablaze. Like, this is brilliant. And Jack is like trying to get backstage, and he's pulled backstage, and we get the technical difficulty sign flags up. Mm-hmm. Now, at this point, I thought this was going to be the end. Like, I was expecting credits to roll from this point. Then get, I agree. We then get Gus introduces Jack, who's looking as confused as I was. Like, what's this? And the audience falls silent. And we cut back through some segments we saw of the show at the very beginning. Again, but this time with Jack being like, what's going, like, not knowing what's going on. And everyone's a bit like baffled. We then get another technical difficulty sign. And then we go back to the show where a lady spins a big hypnotizing wheel, and Jack pleads for everyone to turn off their TVs. We then see him signing the TV contract.
This time with a goblet, and it's
with
like a whole devil-esque thing that's going on.
Yeah, and then we see some kind of ritual at the Grove, and we get Skullboy and the Demon Priest and all of those people that have been in the audience or in other video clips are now all there. And we see Jack drink the Kool-Aid, if we want to call it that. We cut to his wife in the hospital bed, and this is where she's dying of cancer. and she explains that she was the sacrifice for his price for fame, which I think we'd all twigged at this point anyway.
And back to your point of him being a jerk, that like the hospital bed is not in a hospital; it's on stage.
Yeah.
Of his show.
Mm-hmm. It's like a Welcome to the Black Parade music video. It's very jarring.
Like her death was such a spectacle. It's like it's on his show all the time.
Yeah. And he holds her in his arms, and she's like, "You know what you need to do." And with that, he pulls like the sacrificial knife out and he stabs her. And as he stabs her, we cut back to the main stage where we see the carnage of everyone dead, and Jack has just stabbed Lily. And the broadcast ends.
Boo!
I'm kind of with Mark. I don't know where you two are, but like being able to show effectively a dream sequence in a found footage movie is really difficult, because my assumption is this is all going on in his head. So he stood on stage and he's hovering over Lily with the knife that he's picked up from the table, and he stabs her. But we don't see that. We see what's in his head, which is where the found footage element of this movie collapses for me.
So I could do this so much better right now. What they should have done, and this is how this movie should have gone, is as we last saw Carmichael die, we should have seen Jack, eyes roll in the back of his head, little phase, little fixation. We're still watching the program. This is all still live. Just focusing on Jack rolling his eyes in the back of his head, then immediately stab, kill Lily. Bang, bring back the exposition stuff that we had at the beginning, explaining that he then got sectioned and what he saw that night and what he happened, and then have it done through the documentary style way to showcase to us what he, not necessarily, you don't have to show footage of what he saw, but you could just have like him in like a mental institution explaining what happened to him that night while he was under some sort of possession before he killed Lily. Because this whole thing where he goes off and goes into this dream sequence montage just pulled me completely out of the movie altogether. I was like, this makes zero sense to me. I've come on this journey with this film and I'm so fixated and engrossed in everything that they're doing. And now it's all just gone to shit. And it just made me question everything that had come before it. And I was like, why have you done this? This is so disappointing because it doesn't make any sense. I would even have taken something as simple as pulling back from the 4.3 ratio, going back to widescreen and having something more fanciful so we could separate the two. Even just a basic filming technique like that, just being able to separate the two, but they didn't. They kept it with the grainy aesthetic. They kept it with the 4:3 ratio as if it was still continuing on from what we'd already spent the last 80 minutes watching. And it was just stupid. And considering how clever the writing has been up until this point, it just felt embarrassing that they decided to close the movie out in the way that they did. And I might be on an island on this, and I know I probably am on an island on this based on the Rotten Tomatoes reviews and stuff for this, and especially some of the YouTube critic reviews and stuff I've seen. I'm like, people are going massively overboard with their love for this movie. They clearly didn't see what I just saw in the last 15 minutes. Come on, guys, help me out here. Am I on an island or what?
So I slightly agree with that. And I say that's probably more than slightly. What you said about them reverting back to the documentary style makes complete sense. Let's physically see what actually transpired. Jack pulls Lily or gets in contact with Lily somehow, grabs the dagger, stabs her, and then we get some sort of monologued idea, some sort of documentary narrator talking about the events as they transpired. On my other thought is this: it is very difficult to do what they did in this movie and do it well in any movie. Most of those types of dream sequence, final moments of the third act seem to be completely disjointed from what we just saw. So this kind of fell victim to that. It did seem a bit disjointed. I thought that. So I hung on to the aspect ratio of what we saw. When we see the 4x3, we're seeing the entire movie. We're seeing what is happening in studio, what they want the audience to see, whether that's the characters and what the characters want the audience to see, all of that stuff. The black and white 16:9 is what is actually happening in real life. And not just the black and white, but the 16:9 aspect ratio is what's really happening. So I think in the dream sequence, when they switched to the 16:9, we're now finally seeing the deal that was made with the devil, what has happened to lead us up to this place. But it could have been done better. I think this part of the movie fell victim to the disjointed last 10 minutes of a dream sequence scenario, and it could have been
They
tailored.
they don't switch back to the 16:9 though in the dream sequence.
Oh, for real?
For real,
Was I was missing that?
Because I think you are. I might be wrong, and I can't be wrong because I even went back because this was my biggest gripe with the movie. And before I came in tonight, I was like, I'm going to watch that last 10 minutes again just to make sure that I am fully right in the way that I'm being aggressive about this movie. And I'm pretty sure after watching it twice in the last 2 hours, that last segment is not in 16:9. I'm 1,000,000% sure that follows through in a 4x3 ratio for that dream sequence.
Then could you sum it all up with hypnosis? Like what Jack is experiencing is the connection between, like, he thinks he's stabbing his wife. He's going back in his mind to that memory, but in real life, he's stabbing Lily. And now we switch from one aspect to the other. Could you?
No, because the hypnosis sequence finished, didn't it? It was a case of he hypnosed. He did the sidekick dude, and then he snapped out, and then that was all over.
Right.
That was all it. That was ended. That was that whole thing done with. And I thought that was digestible enough because it does hypnotize the audience. But this segment where we go into the dream sequence, we just follow on through as if it's like a reality unfolding on screen, but it's not, because it switches from scene to scene, as well as perception as well from different characters and stuff. And it didn't work for me. It just immediately pulled me out, and I was so disappointed by it. I might be wrong. I don't know if anybody else can remember, but I'm pretty 100% sure that this stayed in 4x3 and nothing changed. We still had the grainy aesthetic. I know it switches in between during the black and whites and stuff like that, which is great. I love all that, and I love how that separates those two. And I just wish they'd have done that at this end, because I would have swallowed that pill. Had they just done something as simple enough as cleaning up the screen and giving us a 16:9 to separate and distinguish that this is no longer archival footage, I could have swallowed that pill, and I would have been like, yeah, okay, right, that's it. They're using this, but this is now falling into movie territory and not necessarily documentary style movie making.
Where are you?
And I would have accepted it.
I think you guys are wrong.
Brilliant.
I can add to that.
Yeah, I would like it if you did.
So I think that I don't know. To me, when I was watching it, what happened when they shifted into this dream scenario thingy, it actually kind of sucked me in a little bit more. I'm like, well, what's going on here? It kind of didn't suck me to made me more attentive, in a way, because I was trying to figure it out, like what's going on. And to me it was jarring, but I think it feels like what they're trying to do with the movie is kind of like these like screw genres. We're gonna do what we want to do, or subgenres, whatever. Because it's partly found footage, but even the interstitial, the breaks that they have within their black and white and widescreen, that's kind of not really found footage. So the whole time you're getting this vibe that sort of found footage, but not found footage. And there's even like a documentary bit at the beginning. So like they're mixing this up. It's like a salad bowl of subgenres. And so it didn't bother me too much when they had that stuff at the end. I think they could. Mark, I think you're right. I think there's something like the asylum thing at the end maybe would have been better, as far as making it clear what's going on. But I did like how, and they probably could have had a lot of different ways to do that exposition to basically say, hey, just so you know, he really did like sacrifice his wife, and this is what happened, and this is why the things are going on. So we need to get that information. But it didn't bother me, but I totally agree. It could have been done better.
Yeah,
I just think if you're going to set up a set of rules that you're going to follow by, you have to follow the rules. Like if that's your setup, that's your rules for what you're doing.
Statement from someone who loves the Halloween franchise.
Don't go there today. Don't go there with me today. Don't do that to me today.
You can't be too much of a rule follower and like horror stuff.
I just think, do you know what it is though? Do you know what bothered me the most about it is just how impressive I found everything that had come before this scene. And I think because everything else was so tight and so grounded within the established law that they were presenting to us within this film, when we reached this point, it just disappointed me so much because everything else up until this point was so good. And I was like, oh, you were so close. You were so close to nailing this and having an absolutely flawless movie, that this has just brought everything down in such a way that I'm going to leave now after seeing this with a sour taste in my mouth because you didn't quite reach the mark.
It's a little bit like
you're making a very valid point. Like they did this is one of the aspects of the movie that could have been done better, and it did seem like it fell apart. It didn't lose me enough for me to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'm not necessarily saying that you're doing that. I'm just, you're right.
I kind of am.
Well, okay. Well, like it didn't jar me enough to where I would want to do that, but it does seem to be it does take away from what they were trying to accomplish to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it raised questions, but I wouldn't say that I hated it. I wouldn't say that I just went, fuck this movie. Like, it annoyed me. I was like, you could have done this differently. But I was still on board. I still wanted to see how this played out. I still was invested in what was going on. It just didn't fit the narrative they'd set up. I think we're all going to have quite a bit to say in our roundup. So we're going to take a quick break. When you finish listening to this episode, why not head over to yourunpodcast.com and check out a podcast all about consumption. And that podcast is the Dewey Pod Monster, covering everything from independent film through to B-rated horror, through to brand new releases, and even TV shows and documentaries. The Dewey Pod Monster has everything you could possibly want. Hosted by John and Sean, this show is hilariously funny, very informative, and an excellent member of the You Run Podcast Network. So make sure you go and check out the Dewey Pod Monster. Also, all of the other shows we've got on the network, yourunpodcast.com. While you're there, click on shop and buy a t-shirt as well, because we'll really appreciate that. Money helps. Not that I need money, but money helps. Let's do some 3-word reviews. So over on X, we've got Voices from the Mausoleum, mediocre possession film. That's Angel, Voices from the Mausoleum. Angel, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I love you dearly, but you are wrong. We've got Tasha of the Sinister Scoop website. I can't even speak. Devil.
Again.
Yeah, man. Tasha, use simple words. 1 syllable, 2 syllable words, please. Devilishly
Cheating.
Brilliant ride. Wow, that was hard. Over on Threads, horror movies and shit, unique modern classic, and they're a horror podcast. On Instagram, SpookyFan666. Best modern film, and they're a cosplay and horror account. Spooky Island Radio showed some potential, and they're a horror podcaster. The Horror Games page, very cool concept. I'm not going to explain to you what the Horror Games page do. Ghost Note 1986, not very good, and they're a horror fan. Again, I don't agree. Horror versus reality, overhyped but fine. Horror versus reality is a podcast that takes movies that are inspired by true crime and then compares them and tells you how much they altered to make their movie entertaining. And finally, Hold Old Parts, the ending sucked. And they're the co-host of Spaceman and the Doll podcast. That's Katie. So Katie agrees with you, Mark. You have someone on your side. It's
Good.
TikTok Talks, which we are going to rename Larry Talks.
Is he back again?
Yeah, we're going to rename this segment Larry's Views. So this is Larry. This is Creature Pod from TikTok. He has very, very deep insights into movies. Maybe this week he'll keep it under 3 minutes. Let's find out.
I might go under 3 minutes for this one. No. No. Hello, Scott. Hello, Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Larry.
You're talking about Late Night with the Devil, and I got a couple of things that I want to just talk about real quick about Late Night with the Devil. Now, obviously, for anybody that's watching this on my TikTok, spoilers! Okay, first thing out of the way, fucking first and foremost, anybody that's fucking pitching a bitch over the AI in Late Night with the Devil has little dick energy. Oh, what about the artists that they're not paying to do this? Shut the fuck up. That's like people being upset about the Met Gala, but not saying anything about the Cannes Film Festival. Fuck out of here. It's selective outrage. It's fake as fuck, and it's super fucking performative. On to the film itself. I thought that this fucking movie was great. I personally feel that the biggest problem with this film is the people that talked about it before it hit. I was going to cut that out and fucking record it, but nah, it fucking stays. The biggest detriment to this film are the people that reviewed it before it hit theaters and Shudder, because they came out guns blazing. Oh my God, this is the best movie of 2024. It's so fucking good. And a lot of these people, they have a cachet because they've been reviewing things and talking about films and getting people excited for films. So when somebody hears them saying, this is one of the best fucking movies of the year, they walk in thinking it's going to be a fucking nightmare-drenched, horrific fucking adventure, and not adventure, a misadventure of chills and frights, and it's not that. But people are too busy speaking with fucking hyperbole because they don't know how to break this movie down. Some might argue that when somebody becomes famous, they sell their soul. That morality goes out of the window in favor of ratings, in favor of satiating the audience and getting them to want to watch something regardless of how fucking egregious it is. Con men who are just preoccupied with making a buck. I'm getting a voice. I'm hearing a name. Is it bullshit? But I would argue that every single character in the movie is exploiting someone else, with the exception of the little girl who is, in fact, herself being exploited. But the devil inside her is the one doing the... Ultimately, to me, I feel like this film is formulaic in the sense that they hit a beat, and it's a beat that's just kind of repeated over and over and over again until the scene where they put the young girl under hypnosis. And then all of the stuff that they set up in that opening half of the film plays out for this hallucinatory nightmare. And it's left to the interpretation of the audience as to what exactly happens. Part where it becomes murky is when they do the mass hypnosis and man literally pulls snakes out of his intestines, out of his throat, and then he's fucking okay, and they show it in video that none of it actually happened. And that's done literally right before everything fucking goes bad. So are they still under a hypnosis, or is it the devil? And I feel like they leave it up to the interpretation of the audience. Is this a grief-induced nightmare of Jack Delroy? Like, specifically, the skeleton in the audience doesn't really fucking waver from being eerie from the very beginning. Never breaks character. The tonal changes that take place when they're on the air and when they're off the air also lead me to believe that there's something more than what they're showing you on the surface. Ultimately, for me, this is a good film, not a great film, and I feel like it's helped and hindered at the same time by the mass praise that it got from people that were reviewing it before it was released. I think across the board, the performances were top fucking notch. And it's a stylized film with substance. It's got questions that are left unanswered, and you're meant to ponder it. But I feel like if this was much more of a word of mouth than hype, that this would have had the potential of being something really fucking great for future generations. And it still has that potential. But I think that it got overexposed and it got exposed to the wrong audiences. And that is ultimately its detriment. And I'm pretty sure I just shit my pants. Yeah, I'm going to go now. Have a good day.
It's too bad he doesn't have many opinions.
If anyone's not following Creature Pod on TikTok, go and do that. He is a really cool account. He's like an Avenger on TikTok. So when people do things that you watch it and go, fuck you, Larry is the person who stitches their video to say fuck you. Larry's awesome. We're going to do some facts, and I've just received a text message from Mark saying I have not sent him the notes for the quiz, and he'll find out why very shortly. But we're going to do the facts first. So the amount of time that the opening black and white sequence runs is about 8 minutes. It was inspired by a 1980s movie called The Killing of America. The later scenes also very, very much mirror that movie. When Gus is talking to Carmichael before he's hypnotized, he mentions that he wants to keep his head on his shoulders, which Carmichael says, no, I'm going to make your head spin, which foreshadows the way that Gus dies where his head spins. Mm-hmm. In the early beginning, when we see the demonic priest, during his ritual, he says, so it is done, which is in the movie at the very end. When it fades to black in the bottom corner, it says end transmission. It briefly says, so it is done, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it sort of like zips out, doesn't it?
The basis of the movie or the plot comes from Ghostwatch 1992, which was a mockumentary produced by the BBC. Where basically it is this movie, but done by the BBC. It's a very British, stiff upper lip style version of this movie. And if you haven't seen it, go and watch it because it's really, really cool.
So this is another thing that we improved from you guys.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't say you improved
No.
I would have said
you didn't improve
much better.
Ghostwatch is better.
It was filmed in Australia anyway, so
Jack Delroy is based on Guy Woodhouse, the character from Rosemary's Baby. If anyone's seen that, I know you haven't, Mark.
No.
Now, the cult leader is definitely based on the founder of the Church of Satan in appearance, in demeanor. If you watch any videos of the founder of the Church of Satan, who was Anton Salador LaVey, he is this guy, like to a T. It's so accurate. And finally, the movie made $666,000. 666, like 66666.
Bollocks! No. That is not a fact. That is not factual. Don't fuck me about.
Let me finish before you get all up on your high horse. This is according to the distributor. Now, did you know that the distributor is allowed to manipulate their figures by up to 5% to allow for expenditure that wasn't put into the books? So they got within 5% of 6666666, and the producer went, I've got a really good idea. Like we'll tell everyone, and they're gonna like, wow, it's the devil done it. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever. Anyway, it is that time of the show. It's time for Broken Spirit and a 70s
Stitched up.
game show style Broken Spirit.
I don't like how smug you're being right now and why I don't have notes for this quiz.
So the reason Mark doesn't have notes for this quiz is because Mark will be assisting Steve and Zach with this quiz. Broken Spirit is the hardest quiz that we do. It's 15 questions. There's no multiple choice. Every one you get correct, you get 10 points. You can walk away from the quiz at any time with all the points that you have, and that's where you'll appear on the leaderboard. If you get a single question wrong, you lose all your points and you leave with nothing. Now, when I was putting this together, I decided I'd make this incredibly difficult. And then I'd also throw Mark into the burning embers of the fire. And
what else is new?
You're all going to work as a team. You can confer on the questions. And Mark, your involvement will not help at all because whatever score Steve and Zach get, it will be purely their score on the leaderboard because you already have beaten this quiz. You're the only person in 2 years to have beaten it.
Just stretch it out, yawning.
So remember, if you shout an answer out, I'm going to take it as your answer. So make sure you confer before you randomly shout something out.
No, surely there's got to be a thing there because if I shout out an answer, that must mean that I'm shouting it out to the team.
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily to myself. So we need right, we're locking this in kind of.
Official answer is,
Yeah, okay. Well, let's do that. If you get an answer right, you'll hear this. And if you lose the game, you'll hear this. So, question number one.
Number one.
Number one. What is the name of the TV show host in Late Night with the Devil?
Jack Delroy. That's not my locking in. I'm conferring with my team.
I agree.
Jack Delroy. Yep.
Yeah, all good with that? Correct. Which of these movies was not released in 1987? The Lost Boys, Hellraiser, The Evil Dead 2, or Tremors?
I believe it's Tremors.
You say Tremors?
90s.
I think it's 90s. I think it's 91. I know Lost Boys is 87. I know Hellraiser is 87. But I don't know about Evil Dead, and I'm pretty sure Tremors is 90s.
Yeah,
right. So I'm happy with Tremors. Zach, where are you at with this?
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Tremors, final answer.
That's correct. Tremors come out in 1990. Sticking with Tremors from 1990, who played Earl Bassett, Kevin Bacon's boss in the movie?
Oh, motherfucker.
It wasn't him.
No. Dude, that is like the hardest question you could throw in for question number 3.
Yeah.
It is a difficult question.
No, it's no denying it is a kind of difficult question. No, that is like question 15 kind of thing.
Well, if you'd like, I can swap that and I can move it further through and give you another question if you're going to complain about it. Would you like me to do that?
Well, I think we're going to complain about it.
Yeah.
And then I have more time to think about it because is his boss the Mr. Miyagi character that we had massive bitch up about?
No, his boss is the guy who wears a white shirt, who's always with him, who's like his mate.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea that dude's name.
Okay, so do you want me to replace this question for now and come back to this one later?
Yeah, otherwise this is going to be a very early ending quiz.
Okay, we'll go on to the next question then, and we'll come back to this one. Bill Skarsgård is cast in 2 horror movie remakes due out this year. What are they?
The Crow.
Yeah, there's that one.
And Nosferatu.
And Nosferatu. Yes.
Is it not?
Yes,
is that coming out this year?
Yeah, the one with Lily Depp and I think so. I think it's this year. I don't know. We don't have a date or a trailer or anything for it yet, but I'm pretty sure it is this year.
Have those movies already, like in your mind, have those movies already come out, Scott? Or are you talking about just?
No, they're due out this year.
They're due out.
Remakes are due out. So you're going to go
I
with
think it's
those
Nosferatu and The Crow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doing really well. Question number 5. Who directed A Quiet Place?
John Krasinski.
John
Krasinski. Yeah.
They're flying through them. Question number 6. In Talk to Me, what item needs to be touched to communicate with the dead?
It's a hand.
Mummified hand.
Yeah.
Is it mummified? Do we need to specify, or can it just be labeled as a
Just a hand.
It's just a hand. It's a hand.
The hand? I would have taken mummified hand, statue of a hand, or just a hand. All of those worked. What is the name of the female lead character in the 2022 movie Prey?
Oh, she has the most badass name as well. Or is that the actress's name?
That's the the actress is called Amber Midthunder, but I want the character's name.
That's an awesome name too.
Yeah.
I'm out with this one. I have no clue. I completely forget what her name is.
I'm stuck on this one too. I don't know.
We did this on the show. How am I not knowing this?
We did, and we said her name many, many times. If you want, I'll give you a clue. It begins with the letter N.
Is it like a native name? It's obviously not going to be something like Nicola.
No, it's not Nicola. Would you like me to push this one further back into the quiz as well? And do
I think
you
we
another
would. I
name?
feel like this handicap that we're getting tonight is embarrassing, considering you've got 3 players on this quiz.
Okay, that's fine. We'll push that one back a little bit further as well. Those 2 questions are coming back for you.
Laying the inevitable.
Next question. X from 2022 is set in what US state?
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
I'm going to go with Texas, yeah.
That's correct. What is the occupation of the character Paul Sheldon in the movie Misery?
Writer?
Is he a writer?
Is he the main character?
Author?
Yeah, he's the main character.
Author.
Yeah, he's a writer.
Writer.
I would have taken writer, author, or novelist. Any of those would have done. In the 2011 movie Cabin in the Woods, there is a character who is similar in appearance to Pinhead from Hellraiser. Instead of pins, what is embedded in his face?
Circular
railroad spikes, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's circular saw blade.
Yeah.
That's
saw
Ghost,
blade.
you're thinking.
Yeah, you going with saw blades?
Yep.
Yeah.
Saw blades.
You're flying through them. I'm glad I've got those 2 difficult questions you can't get in the bank. In the 3rd installment of 28 Days Later, which is now in the works, what is it going to be called?
28 years later.
28 years later,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's 28 months or weeks, and then there's years. Yeah.
yeah, you're killing it. Including Evil Dead Rise, how many movies are there in the Evil Dead franchise?
5.
I'm going to go with
Evil
5.
Dead 1, 2, 3, and then there's the Evil Dead remake, and then there's the Evil Dead Rise. So that's
Is that including Army of Darkness?
That's
yeah,
3.
I mean, Daggers is 3.
That's 3? Okay.
Yep.
5.
5.
Gonna go with 5. There was Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2013, and then Evil Dead Rise. What actress plays the lead in the 2019 horror movie Ready or Not?
Samara
Weaving. Yeah,
Wow!
Samara
Like,
Weaving.
did you all like get possessed by the devil because you all said that exactly the same time?
We are just vibing like a team. We were on the same level. Here.
Yeah.
Until we reach those later questions, then the vibe will be done.
You've got 2 left, and then you've got the 2 nasty questions that are lingering in the background. I've
remembered one of them.
Okay. What real-life people do Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson play in the Conjuring franchise?
Lorraine and Ed Warren.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys
all
happy with that?
100%.
Yep.
Doing really well. This is question 15, so you can either have this one now or you can return to one of the other 2 questions.
Let's return to the prayer question because I've remembered that one. I think, but
how confident are you then?
If you return to that question, you can't come back to this one. So you can either do this one first or go to that.
Can I confer with my team?
You confer with your team now.
I think it's Nauru for some reason. I think it's Nauru.
I'm fully relying on you for this because I have zero clue what it is.
I think it's Naru, but I'm not 100% sure. I think that's just while the whole entire quiz, that question's been lingering in my mind because I should know the answer because we've done it on the podcast, and I think it's Naru, but I'm not convinced enough to pull the quiz forward for it. So should we tackle question 15? And if we do pot luck, we can go with Naru for that one. Let's do that thing 15. Where he'll give us a Tremors question first. I know what he's like.
So, according to Rotten Tomatoes' top 200 movies of all time, which of these movies sits highest on the list? Saw 10, Scream, The Exorcist, or Let the Right One In?
It's got to be The Exorcist,
be a trick
right?
question. No, don't fall for his shit.
I know this dude. It might be the.
I know this dude, and I know what he's about.
Which version of Let the Right One In are we talking about?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. If it's the original, I think that is the right answer. But I'm not willing to sacrifice us getting as far as we have based on that. I mean, the immediate go-to would be The Exorcist, obviously. Right. But I think you've also got to look at it like this. Rotten Tomatoes is a critic and audience-based website. How many people are going to be reviewing The Exorcist? Millions. So therefore, you're going to have a varying degree of people's opinions bringing those scores down. Now, if you base that on the original version of Let the Right Ones In, that movie is massively loved by a lot of people, but I don't feel like it's been seen by enough people to then bring it down based on their opinions.
Critics love that one.
Critics love it, and critics have definitely seen it, and the people that do love it will go to Rotten Tomatoes to bump it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that I think because you've got your generic horror movies that everybody likes to talk about on the daily, and you're going to get people, as you guys know, you specialize in Letterboxd quite a lot. There's people on there who would go on there and shit on Scream regularly, bringing that overall score down. So if you look at it from that perspective and think The Exorcist, Scream, what was the other one, Scott?
Saw 10.
Saw 10. People are going to go there. They're going to bitch. They're going to moan. But Let the Right One In. That's a very, very well-loved movie. And it's not a movie that everyone has seen, especially the original. I think, is it Swedish or Finnish version?
You're Norwegian or something.
Yeah.
One of those.
It's in that area. I would go as far as to say that I think it's Let the Right Ones In, but I'm not going to be the one to take the responsibility. This is your effort on the quiz. This is your guys' go. So if you want to take the punt, go for it. But also remember, you can get on the leaderboard by leaving.
Yeah, you can walk away with your points now, and you are on 120 points. So that would put you way, way, way up the leaderboard, just behind Mark. Or you can take a punt on this and have 130 points if you get it right.
What are you thinking, Steve?
I think I agree with Mark, but I mean, it's a lot of points, man.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah,
it's a lot of credibility on the table as well to be that high up.
Would you like to sell your soul to the devil for those points?
I would rather answer the prey question.
At the end of the day, guys, it's just a shitty little quiz on a podcast. So just think about it like that. Yeah, You're not going to do it again, so go for it.
Okay,
but don't take my answer. Take what you guys think.
Well, you want to go for it? Give it a shot.
I say let's go for it. Let's go for it.
All right,
it's that one.
Let the right one in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Believe it or not, out of those movies, The Exorcist is the lowest.
Wow.
See, this is it. It's just idiots on the internet talking shit.
And Saw 10 is the highest ranked out of those movies, sits above Scream and The Exorcist by quite a way.
Wow,
which a great
blew
movie,
my mind. Yeah, but when I read through the Rotten Tomatoes top 200 movies, I got to like 153, and I'm like, why is that movie here? Why is The Lost Boys at 186? Why is that not way, way, way up the list? It was one of those lists. So would you like to return to the prey question and have a stab at that?
Yes.
Yeah, I really think you're right, Mark. I think it's Naru.
Okay. So
it is definitely either Naru or that is a female lion in The Lion King. We're about to find out which one I'm going with.
It's Nala.
Oh, it's Nala in Lion King.
Do you want to go with Naru, or do you want to walk away with your points because you're now on 130 points?
I've just pulled that shit out of the hat, by the way, guys. My mind went there, and that's what I'm sticking with. But it could be very wrong.
Let's go big or go home, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You are
Dream
on
team.
140 points. You have one question remaining, which if you get it right, you'll be the second people ever to beat Broken Spirit. And that is, who played the character of Earl Bassett in the movie Tremors from 1990? And this is Kevin Bacon's sidekick with dark hair and a little goatee beard.
Do you want the actor's name in this?
I want the actor's name.
I can see him. I can see him in my mind.
I know it. I misunderstood the question earlier, and I know the answer. In fact, I have it also up there because I own it on VHS, so I could quickly pull it down and get the title of his name off it. But I think I know it.
You think?
But in fact, I'm 1,000,000% that I know the answer to this question. It's just whether I want to give it to you guys. Because at the moment, I'm the only reigning champion on Broken Spirit. Now, if I give you the answer to this question, that means you're joining me there with it.
Or you give us the wrong answer on purpose.
This is very true. It depends. I'll tell you what the answer is, and you have to determine which way I'm going to go with this. Whether I'm going to fuck you guys up and see you fail, or whether I want to give you a throne next to me at the top spot.
Well, come on then. Don't hold us in suspense. Who is it?
If I tell you his first name, do you want me to leave you guys to work out the rest? The actor's name is Fred. Okay, it's Fred Ward. Is what I know it to be.
Which is
but
great,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong because at the end of the day, I'm a contestant just like you guys. I think it's Fred Ward.
See, this is fabulous because what you've done now, Mark, is you've put our guests in a situation where you've not asked them to take your answer. You've asked them to say whether they trust you or whether they actually think you are the devil.
Yeah. This is very true. Let's play the game, guys. I could be saving a seat for you, or I could be setting you up to fail. You decide on what you think is the right answer.
So you can walk away with your points. You're at 140 points. You're just behind Mark. Or you can gamble with what Mark's told you and potentially sit joint top of the leaderboard.
I mean, you can walk away.
Mark looks like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Hey, looks so deceiving, man.
Yeah, and the devil walks around in sheep's clothing. So at the end of the day, bro, come on.
You can take second place and you can walk away. Or you can
that's
take
so
my
gracious
answer.
of you. So gracious of you.
Hey, I'm giving you an olive branch, man. You can sit just below me on the smaller throne and be quite happy with it. Or you can come and join me on the big league. It's up to you. It depends on where you want to go.
Okay, let's go. Let's go big. Let's
go for it.
There's
Fred
Mark.
Ward.
It's Mark's answer. Whatever Mark's
You're
answer
gonna
is.
What was your answer again, Mark?
Fred Ward.
Fred Ward.
Hey! Welcome to the Winners Club, guys.
I will never doubt you again, Mark. Yeah, get what Zach says.
No matter what Zach says.
Congratulations, you are now the second people in 2 years to beat this quiz.
Wow.
Well done. Well deserved.
I'll be honest with you. When you said the Tremors question earlier, I thought you was asking for his name, like who he is in the movie.
It's Earl Bassett. I said it was Earl Bassett.
Oh, that shows I'm.
I thought you just said his boss character.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He didn't say Earl Bassett. He said who is his boss in the movie, and that's was like, I don't know who his boss is, but I know who.
Anyone who's listened to this quiz, feel free to call in and correct Mark on a future episode because that'll entertain me later.
Yeah, can we have a video so you guys roll that back?
Yeah, B-roll.
Let's do some roundups. Mark, you can do this because you've already dissected the end, so we kind of know where you are, but go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved this movie. I had a really, really enjoyable time with it. I thought everything that it was doing, especially considering my love for retro VHS and all that kind of jazz, I thought this one encapsulated that era better than most. Instead of like, a lot of movies these days, when they're trying to replicate that, they go down that whole blue and pink neon aesthetic, which isn't necessarily true to the era. So doing it the way that this film did felt very authentic, and I was really on board for it. I thought the casting is phenomenal. Everybody did a fantastic job, especially the lead actor. I want to say David Dalmatian, but I can't pronounce his name properly.
Or something?
Dalmatian, that's the one. He is a phenomenal actor, and I've seen him in so many stuff as like a side character or a bit player. And every time he's in those movies, like Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one, I was like, you are fucking amazing in this movie. Dark Knight is in that. He's fantastic in that movie as well. I'm like, I wish you had more screen time, because everything you are doing is brilliant. And getting to see him in this leading man role showcases how amazing of an actor he actually is, and he should convey such a range of emotions throughout, that I think this movie will hopefully open doors for him to be a leading man in future movies. And I hope he kind of stays within the horror genre, because I feel like his whole look and persona kind of suits that environment. He's brilliant. As for the AI thing, I'm not going to go massively into it, because I don't know enough about it too much to pass varied opinions on it. Yeah, Larry did most of the work for us. And I think what I do know about it is that the AI that is involved in this movie is done via the art department that was employed to be part of the movie, and it was just them pissing about on a computer to necessarily make their job easier, and they got paid for it. So people still got paid. It wasn't like actors or actual humans were replaced by AI for the sake of this movie. So everybody needs to get over that side of it and stop bringing the movie down based on this whole AI theory. It's not valid here. Practical effects wise, I love it. I know a lot of people don't like it in this movie, but I do feel like it's very era appropriate, and for that reason I appreciate it a lot. It lost me at the end, and it's disappointing that it did lose me at the end, because I've already said numerous times throughout this episode how fantastic I thought this immersive experience was with the late night talk show host and the whole 4x3 VHS filter aesthetic. I thought all that was fantastic. I was really engrossed in everything, and I think they do a fantastic job of writing this movie and building the momentum throughout with the pacing. It's very well constructed, and that's what annoyed me so much about this dream sequence at the end, is because everything else is so tight all the way through. By the time we reach this moment, that's the thing that I'm walking away with when the credits roll. It's not a case of me going out of this and being like, that movie was amazing. I'm stood there and I'm like, that movie was amazing, but that wasn't done very well. And that's the sour taste that this film left with me by the time the credits roll. Larry mentioned in his TikTok talks about how this was massively overhyped by early reviewed critics who were obviously being endorsed and paid for, and obviously wanting. It's the same. I see them a lot on YouTube these days. People who are in some sort of spotlight with their opinions, they get early screenings, and because they get early screenings to new movies that are coming out, they feel obliged to speak highly of it based on they might not get another early screening again. Oh, if I diss this movie, then I'm not going to get the opportunity to then go and get an early screening again. So they have to speak highly of something that they've been given the opportunity to see. And he's right.
Or they could do what we done with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey that we got on an early screener and tear it to pieces when we had a cast member on the show.
That wasn't great. We maybe shouldn't have done that. But exactly, we were faithful to what we were doing. Like, this is our job, this is what we do, and we're going to stick to our opinions. And we got the early screening for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We even had a cast guest on the show, and we still ripped that movie to shit. And I feel like there should be more people doing that around this, because it did come out to a lot of hype, and everybody was, this is going to be the best thing ever, this is the best movie. And I was on board the train. I was like, yeah, man, I'm fucking pumped for this. This is great. Let's go. Let's do this shit. But it doesn't quite live up to that. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It is great for certain elements of it, but it's lost in those early screenings. And again, I'm going to bring him back in, and I feel bad for the guy because I really admire him as a creator and as a person. But Stephen King, stay the fuck off Twitter and stop giving your recommendations for movies, because you keep spouting that this is the greatest movie you have ever seen at least every 2 weeks. And I'm sorry, dude, but you're beginning to be
really?
incredible. Every time you go and see a movie, it's like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. The most innovative horror movie since Pet Sematary. And it's like, Stephen King, dude, you're losing touch with your audience because people are going to stop believing you. And I don't listen to that anymore because every single movie that comes out, Stephen King said this is the greatest thing he's ever seen. And it's not. Stephen King, man, back off from Twitter. You shouldn't be allowed to be on there. Go sniff some cocaine and stay in your lane. So overall, I like this movie. It was great. It just lost me a bit at the end. I'm not awfully enthusiastic about everybody else's opinions on it. I think it's a solid 3 out of 5. Had I picked this up on like Amazon Prime, not knowing anything about it, it was just one of those things that I was scrolling on a late night, I'd think, yeah, this is fucking awesome. But because it's been so well hyped and so publicized around the horror community, I'm awfully critical of it for that reason, because I'm like, well, everyone thinks this is amazing. And I'm like, well, is it? Are you really paying as much attention as you should be? So yeah, 3 out of 5. I think that's generous.
Yeah.
So basically, somebody was wrong on the internet, so you'll give it a lower scale.
Yeah, that's
no, I'm not saying somebody was wrong on the internet, but I'm thinking, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, when people pump things up to a certain point, you kind of go into it, and I feel like if
your
people like,
expectations
this is the best thing, it's a case of your expectations are at a certain level. So then when you go into it and those expectations aren't met, you're automatically reduced in your overall appreciation of something. Had nobody ever spoken about this movie, and like I say, I just stumbled across it on like Prime or Tubi or whatever you guys have in America with no knowledge of what it was going in, I would be singing this from the rooftops, like, yeah, they did some really cool and innovative things. And like, I really appreciated this and I really appreciated that. But like, the speculation around this movie coming out and everyone like, yeah, get yourself prepared. This is Stephen King said it's the greatest movie of the year. And then when you go into it and it doesn't fulfill those expectations, you automatically find yourself brought down to a level that you weren't expecting. And I think that's half the problem with critics. You know, I genuinely do. And I don't want to call everybody out for that because it's what I do, it's what we do, it's the whole reason we're here in the first place. But I do
you're in
think
a very grey area at the moment.
We are, yeah. I mean, me and Zach spoke about this. Me and Zach spoke about this off the air a couple of weeks ago, and we was talking about Letterboxd and how I found that to be the most authentic place to go and find reviews and stuff, because that is what comes from the people. Usually it's people who enjoy the movie and people who watch the movie, that those reviews are the most authentic because they're genuine. They're not just people spouting big words and clickbait posts on the internet to get people clicking and viewing it for the sake of garnering attention. Yeah. So I don't know. You're right. It's a gray area to fall in because it's hard. It's hard by today's standards because everything is amped up and you want to beef it up and you want to sell it to people, but the way you do it shouldn't be by branding it to be the greatest thing or the scariest thing you've ever seen. Because when you go into it and it's not,
it's fascinating to me, like how we decide. And
because when you go into it and it's not what everybody told you it's going to be,
in a bubble by itself, fantastic, you love it.
Yeah,
but the fact that everybody else is like overhyping it, it's you're kind of wanting to push back against that a little bit.
I'm not necessarily wanting to push back against it. It's a case of that's the world I've lived in. I've experienced that. I've had those people tell me that this is the best thing I'm ever going to experience. So when I go into it and it's not, it's automatically downgraded by that. Like you can't take away the experience that you've been perceived. You know, like if someone tells you it's the greatest thing you're ever going to go on, roller coasters, for instance, going well off topic here, and I know I'm going wild with this, roller coasters. You have no idea. Someone says to you, this is the greatest roller coaster of your life. You're going to love it. It's got loop-the-loops. It's going to be fantastic. Boom. You go in, loop-the-loop. You do the roller coaster. You're like, yeah, but you told me that was coming. You told me that it was going to be that great. Roller coaster you go on, no one's ever spoken to you about. You get shocked roller coasters. You get jumps. You get loop-the-loops. You didn't know they were coming. You're like, oh, holy shit, this is the greatest roller coaster of my life. Very poor analogy, but I'm going to roll with it, and I hope everyone appreciates it. That's kind of where I'm at with this. It's honestly, fuck you, man. I don't want you to think that I'm like being shepherded by people's opinions, because I'm not. That's not what I do. I'm not shepherded by everyone's perception of this movie. But when you have this drilling into you that this is going to be the greatest event of horror in 2024, and then when you live it and it's not that.
Well, it's just an aspect of the review. And it's just like you said, it's the world you live in. It's the it's the whole thing.
Where are you with
hard.
it, Steve?
It's hard, man.
I'm more like a 4.5. I think I initially gave it a 5 because I came out of the theater and I was like, that was fantastic, and you know, 5 stars. And the more I thought about it, I noticed that I tend to do that. Zach and I have been doing some like immediate. We get like a early screening or whatever. Go to immediately do a review for Instagram or something, and I tend to love the thing I just watched because you know you're like excited about it or whatever. And then after I think about it a while, I'm like, maybe not quite as good as I was. But I have around 4.5. Probably I have 4 stars out of 5. All the things that Mark said. I love how immersive it was, how it pulled you in, and I love starting off like with I love the beginning part with that was clever with the documentary style.
Yeah.
To give all that exposition so you don't have to do the characters saying, well, you know, Bob, and all this stuff about the tiring exposition stuff.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a unique, to me anyway, it was a kind of a unique possession situation. And it wasn't a possession situation where they were trying to do an exorcism, you know. And there don't seem to be a lot of movies that I'm kind of blanking out maybe, but there's not a lot of possession movies where people just they're like good with it. Like keep being possessed, you know. We want more of that later, please.
The only other one I can think of is Taking of Deborah Logan is the only other one where she's possessed for a huge period of time where they don't really do anything, they just kind of watch. But yeah, that's the only other one I can think of. Where are you with scores on this, Zach?
Okay, so I'm gonna stay with 5. 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, there are aspects of this movie that I would change. Like I did not like the fact that they did not show Christu's death. I thought that in a flash black and white 16:9 moment, you could have showed him completely imploding in the like a docu crew followed him on the ambulance to the hospital, you know.
The same way you do get with the ad breaks. Yeah, that would have worked perfectly for me.
And just a flash, boom, and then you're done. You're back to the movie. I would have changed that. I would have obviously changed how many production credits in the beginning. You know, that was annoying to me. Like I'm being overly critical at that point, you know. But there was another thing that I would change. I don't know what it was. Sometimes CGI will, like bad CGI will take me completely out of a movie. Like Mark, with this particular, like the reviews for this movie kind of took you out of what you were specifically viewing because you were going in with one thing. And the thing that I go in is, as far with movies, is like I'm going in with the year that I'm seeing the movie. You know, the year the movie came out. If the movie came out in 2024, then I expect you go all out with the CGI. I don't expect 2001 CGI in a 2024 movie. And I understand that not everyone's budget can afford that, but I'm going to be a snob and be like, then get a freaking bigger budget. And and also I've never made a movie and I don't know how hard it is. So there's this somewhat balance, but I am a CGI snob. But I thought the 70s aspect, like the 70s style, afforded them the ability to have some sort of it was like Mark said, it was very era appropriate. And but despite the fact that there were some things that I would probably change, I'm not going to go ahead and give this movie its flowers and say that it is literally the best thing in the entire world. But I thought that this movie entertained me, and the aspects that Mark brought up in the end, those aspects drew me in. I wanted to delve deeper and figure them out. And why are we seeing it? But all in all, I'm going to go full fanboy, I guess, and give it 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Just so we're clear, Zach, you used to be my favorite on the podcast.
I appreciate that.
No, wait, hold on. Wait.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the fact that I used to be your favorite, and now that I'm not, I'm not. The goal is less and less friends as I go.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
Mark, that comment earned you this again.
Yeah.
This movie was good. It hit all the expected points I wanted it to. There was a couple of surprises along the way. I prefer Ghostwatch, but that's because of when I found that in my life. Like, watching this was very much like going, oh, that's just like Ghostwatch. Oh, that's just like Ghostwatch. But it didn't take me out of it. This delivers on what it's trying to deliver. Casting's great. Like, everyone puts in an upstand performance. Christo, Lily, and Jack are all outstanding, and Carmichael. Like, everyone does what they're meant to do. I have no issues with the AI art. I'm not even going to mention it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I understand why people don't necessarily fully vibe with this movie. I get it. It's a very unique movie in the way it's put together, and it doesn't necessarily follow the expected beats of a possession movie. And I think people struggle with that. When people get a possession movie, they go, someone's going to be possessed. Russell Crowe's going to turn up in a priest outfit, going to sit her in a chair. Like, that's what we all expect now. With a possession movie. I think it was overhyped, which I do think played against it in some instances. Some of the effects I took issue with, mainly the use of CGI. Like some of the CGI in this, I kind of went, like the Force lightning in particular could have been done a lot better. It's above average. It's one of the better horror movies I've seen this year. It's a 4 out of 5 from me, and I think it's a good movie. I don't think by any stretch it's a bad movie. So this is the part of the show where Zach and Steve get to sell themselves in the best way they can for their show and tell you where we can find them. And I'm going to give you some really good 70s themed music to get you in the mindset to do that. So here you go. You're live. Go.
Take it away, Steve.
In a world where there are 53,001 horror films on Letterboxd, and that the numbers keeps growing, then you need somebody to walk you through the new things that you haven't seen yet, the unseen horror out there. And so that's what we're doing. We're every week we are assigning each other films that we have seen but the other guy hasn't, and sometimes we punish each other. Sometimes we have grace and give something the other guy would like. Then we get together and chat about it. And we started the podcast because we kind of became friends accidentally. We've never actually met in real life. We kind of became accidental friends on the internet, and we love talking about horror stuff, and our spouses hate it. We just can't get them to talk about it. And so with Zach finally talked me into doing the podcast, and we're like, this is great. So we ended up talking about what we've seen the past week for quite a while, and then we get into the reviews of the 2 movies we've seen. So join us. It's fun.
Yeah,
it is really, really, really fun. You guys massively undersold your show then, I'll be honest. I've been a follower of you guys since the off. I think you guys are great. You have a really unique chemistry between the two of you that feels very authentic, and that comes across very well to the listeners. I think the dynamic between the two of you and the humor that you two have bouncing back and forth is great, and I love the concept that you two have where you both present to each other movies that neither one of you have seen, and then you both dissect that. And unlike most podcasts where you get a single movie per week, you guys dissect two movies because you delegate a movie to each one of you, and then you both strip those down and talk about them. And I think you do a fantastic job, and I don't think you give yourselves enough credit. I think your show is phenomenal, and I hope everybody who is listening to this show tonight and likes what me and Scott do, you should definitely go and check out Horrors Yet Unseen, because these guys, they're great. They really are. And I think now's a perfect time to get involved and start following them in their journey, because they're only, what are you now, 14, 15 episodes in?
17.
I think
17. So it's not a massive backlog for you guys to get caught up with and go on the journey with them. It's really, really entertaining, and you guys do a fantastic job. You really do. I think your show's fantastic. So,
well, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And I will double down on that as well and say that your show is one of the best produced, fastest evolving shows for a show that is so new. So if you listen to your first episode versus your latest episode, the progression in how you communicate your movies and how you interact with each other, you come across like you're seasoned podcasters who've done this for 5 years. Like your show's fabulous. It's available everywhere on all podcast platforms. The link to the Spotify's in this episode. So when this is finished, literally scroll down and click that link and it will play the latest episode. So do that. Horrors Yet Unseen on Instagram as well. And are you guys on TikTok?
Nope.
No.
Not yet.
Instagram, though, definitely.
Steve can run the TikTok. We'll do that.
So go and give them a follow on Instagram. Make sure you go and check out one of their episodes, because that will be all you need to go and check out more. Huge thank you to both of you guys for coming on and spending what we thought was going to be like an hour and 40 minutes and turned into 2 hours and 40 minutes because of the movie. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah. Back at you guys.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
That is another week brought to a close. Thank you again for Horrors Yet Unseen coming on and sharing their brand of insanity with us. We'll be back on Monday with Hellraiser. And again, please accept my apologies, because Hellraiser is another episode that we recorded back to back with Totally Killer. So we have the horrific audio issues of me sounding like I'm in a cave, and then followed by music that will actually burst your eardrums. It is what it is. Like, it's either that or you don't have an episode. So you make the decision, either listen or don't. But until then, have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you all really soon. So see you all later.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.
Hey, everyone.
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
You want to die tonight?
Scott, I think you know who the fuck this is that's talking.
Cancel Mark. I was terribly offended.
Because after all, this is not our show, this is your show.